Do you want me to start this over so it starts? No? Okay.
Is it actually recording?
The audio
Yes,
is.
it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'll bet.
Yeah. Yeah, if those are all red and that's going, we're good.
Red means go.
We're
Red
ready.
means go.
Let's do it.
My headphones cutting out probably. Got an almost dead spot in one of these.
All right, cheers, everyone. We
Cheers.
got half water,
Cheers.
half booze.
That's right.
Cheers, everybody.
Water's on the left. We're right. I guess depending
Whichever
on
way
where you're on
Whichever
the
way
table.
works.
Yeah. So Ryan's joining us with Kevin today.
Okay.
How's
Okay.
everyone
going
doing?
on?
What's
What's
up,
happening?
Ryan?
No, not too much. Just excited to get on my first podcast with you guys
First,
here.
first podcast. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck yeah. I'll drink to
Welcome
that.
to the
Absolutely. First interview too, actually. Not even
really?
podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
it'll be a fun
yeah,
one.
okay. So there's a couple rules to follow. One is don't bite your tongue.
All right.
The other is use any language you want.
Sounds good.
I
yeah,
could
that's-
care
that's-
less.
All right, let's do
It's
it.
just as free as possible.
Yeah, it's
so.
pretty whatever here.
So who's Ryan?
Ryan, I'm a drummer here from Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. I've been playing drums since I was like 7, but then I took a little break because, you grow up, life gets in the way, and you start doing school, you get into activities with friends, like you want to hang out with your friends. So it kind of took a seat in the back burner. But then COVID happened, so I started making some videos again, and then here we are now. Things just kind of taken off, and
Getting invited to our huge podcast.
exactly, yeah, biggest opportunity right now, the podcast.
We made it.
Biggest podcast on this block, I'll
On
tell
this
you
block,
right.
yeah,
for sure.
Amazing.
I haven't knocked on doors to confirm that, so
Yeah, I
I
was
mean, if
gonna
there's
say.
anyone else in this
Well, I
side
mean,
of Lethbridge,
yeah, I don't know. My neighbor could have one going. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
you never know.
That's
Your
fair
neighbor
enough.
is Joe Rogan.
So, like, if you've been drumming
Right
for
up
that
the
long, sorry, we're having multiple conversations.
It's all good.
If you've been drumming for that long, was there a time like when you say like it took the back seat, like did it feel less cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I would say that for sure. And like, I think a lot of it comes from, so I was playing drums for a bit, and then I stopped about when I first started university, because that's, you turn 18, you want to go out and just be crazy for a couple of years. So that's what I did. But leading up to that, before, I was actually making videos before then, like in high school, just for fun, posting it on YouTube and sharing around locally. And at that point, I was actually trying really hard to make it. I was trying to get really big on YouTube, but I just never found any success doing it. And I got really frustrated. And I feel like that's another big reason why I stopped too. And that kind of tells me that I was doing it for the wrong reasons back then. I was just like, I just want to get famous. I want to do this and go tour with bands and stuff. And after it didn't work out, I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, what's the point of doing this if nobody's going to see it? So then it took the back burner, and then, eventually picked it up again. But definitely
man.
I think I took like a 5 or 6 year break. It was
wow.
it was a while. I didn't even touch my drums.
Really?
I mean, I get that. I've gone through my phases of not even picking up the guitar for however long or doing anything musical, and then it comes back. I think if it's in you, right? You're gonna, even if you take a break, you're gonna want to come back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So,
And that's when I think you'll know if you're gonna do it for the right reasons, right? Because I feel like if I didn't start this up again, because when I started it up again, it was literally just for fun because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's made this so, like, my kind of whatever I'm doing now is made it so much easier, is because I'm not so stressed about like, I want a ton of people to see this. For me now, it's just like, I'm not having fun. It's like editing is therapeutic for me. Making videos is therapeutic for
Absolutely
me. So
agreed.
I just want to have fun doing it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely agreed.
if people watch, fantastic.
Yeah.
If they don't, I'm just still going to do it either way.
Yeah,
and I think that's the right mindset to have, because that way it's about the process. It's about what you're doing, every day. You're having fun doing it. It's not like I have to have this accomplished. I have to meet this. I have to hit this goal post.
This fictitious standard, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Well, and especially in like such a an exposed field with like the YouTubes, the Instagrams, and everything. It's like I measure myself up against people all the time, and it's not fair to me because I'm sure everyone else does it in their own respect, but no one's going around thinking, oh, I'm better than this person, I'm better than that person, right? Hopefully, at least. But
Yeah, definitely.
Like I totally
Some
understand the
people
pressure side of it, man. Like it's weird, right?
100%. And like, even now, like, don't get me wrong, now that like I'm doing this at like a little bit of a bigger scale, there is pressure like that still for me. Like, I have to do this and I have to meet these deadlines, especially when I'm doing work for other people. But at the same time, it's much easier like on me mentally, because I know that I made this choice, that I want to do this now. And it's not like I have to do this for nobody. Like, for me, it's like, okay, I have to do this for somebody. I volunteered myself to do this. So it just makes it like, sure, sometimes there's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, I'm always still having fun doing it. And I think once that fun turns into like nothing but stress or nothing but like me getting pissed off every time I'm making a video and it's not working right, I think it's just a better way to do things, just to like really take a step back and think about why you're doing these things.
Yeah.
And then if you can like come to peace with why you're doing it and figure out what you're really doing, it'll make your journey of doing the things so much easier.
Yeah, it's not just a job.
Yeah,
right? It's not
exactly.
just a paycheck.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's something. I don't know. For me, the end goal is, you know, to be able to get up every day and just be excited about what I'm doing, you know, and just something that I enjoy, something that I'm passionate about, something that you know, if you can get paid to do something that you would otherwise do for free, you know, to me that's winning, right? Like if you do like this, I do this for free. If I can make money off it, even better. But if I don't, I'll still do it. Just like, you know, I'm assuming with you at this point, it's probably playing drums, making music, making videos, doing all that stuff. You probably would do it just for the sake of doing it to some extent. Right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I would still be doing this, even like I said, if no one were watching, I'd still be doing this because
Yeah.
it's like a fun thing for me, and like it's also cool to kind of have all these videos and like in my back pocket. So like, you know, 10, 15 years from now, I'm gonna have that content to look back on, and it won't even matter. 10 or 15 years from now, I'm not even gonna remember who watched them or not. It's just gonna be like, I have these now. Like I got the chance to do it, and like I can look back on them and be happy about it whenever I want
It's
to.
a time capsule of
Yeah,
your-
exactly,
Yeah.
right?
And another
especially
skill in the tool belt, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if, like even say if the drumming thing, like it does its own thing and then all of a sudden you get married, it's like you could do your own badass like wedding video and it's
Yeah.
all in your control again. Like whatever you want to do, right? But it's just like another skill to like build confidence around.
Yeah, definitely. And like speaking of that, actually, like I have people hit me up to do weddings now, you know, just
Oh,
because
really?
like they'll see like the video I do in my own videos, and they're like, oh, can you do these other things for me? And like I think that's another good thing about doing things like this, you know, like you never know who's watching, so you never know what opportunities are going to come from it. And that's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah, it's to actually, let's branch that off into a story here. So when I first started, it was COVID. I got bored. I wanted to make a couple videos. I had my buddy, his name's Alan Bremner. He's a fantastic guy. He came over and we shot just a couple short drum covers, like 30 seconds, just for fun to post on my Instagram. And I posted them, and then, you know, like they got good views. Like it was like just, I had like 1,000 followers of my personal friends and family and stuff at the time. And they got decent views. And then once I ran out of the content to post, I was like, oh, like I kind of want to do this again. I kind of want to keep doing this.
The itch.
Yeah, exactly. I got the itch for it. So then I texted him and was like, hey, what do you think about like coming over and doing this for me again? And like the first time he did it, it was just like a friend project that we just did it for fun. The second time I made sure, I was like, I definitely want to like pay you to do this, because if I want to get into this, like, I want to do this right. Like I don't want to just expect to have somebody come over and just, you know, do my work for me. So I had him come over, and then, you know, I'm watching the way he's doing things. And at the same time, when I'm watching him, I'm kind of learning the process, you know. So I'm learning how to shoot these videos. I'm learning ways to light things just based off of what he's doing. So that turns into me, after that second shoot, I'm like, okay, sustainability wise, I think I want to maybe get my own gear, like my own camera gear, to do this myself, because I would love to continue to support him and pay him to do my videos. But at the same time, I'm just one guy, you know, like I just work a part-time job, you know, like I make, like I'm not hurting for money or anything, but at the same time, that's because I am aware of things like my money. Like I don't want to be paying somebody every 3 days to edit and shoot a video for me, right? Because that just wouldn't be a sustainable thing. So I went out, bought my own camera, and like, if you look back, the first few I did by myself look pretty terrible, but
Been there, man. Been there.
but it's all part of the process, right? So you get better as you go, and you learn, and you keep doing your thing. You get better and better at it, and then it just kind of just takes off. And like I said, like you never know who's watching, because those videos turned into the band of Virtue. They're from Michigan. Their manager found my Instagram, and he asked me if I wanted to possibly be a part of the band or like drum with the band for a couple tours or a show. And I was like, yeah, that'd be fantastic, because I'd actually heard of the band before, and it was crazy to hear that like a band that I had listened to in the past reached out to me, especially some guy from Lethbridge, Alberta. You know, it's not like I'm not even like Calgary, something like with a way more connections. Like I'm just this guy doing it all by myself in my house, and he wouldn't have found me had I not been consistent that whole time, and you know, making that content for myself. It was just kind of like a supplementary bonus that, you know, they wanted to take me on too. So like I said, you never know who's watching. And
I think you could tell like when people are being authentic though, because like in that same example, if you were like if you're paying the guy for all your videos, it's like, well, now you have to produce at a certain level and you have to like get this return that like everyone thinks they deserve, right? But it's like if you can take it in your own hands like this, like I don't have to pay anybody to come do this.
Yeah, you keep the overhead low.
Yeah, you keep the overhead low.
whole
You just
idea.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just be like authentic. It's like I don't have to come here and put on some spectacle, man. I just want to hang out. Right?
Well, in this day and age now, like we're at a point where technology has allowed us to do that sort of thing, right? You're not reliant on a studio every time you want to record something. You're not reliant necessarily on a
whole bunch of bodies.
a video production company to come in and set up and shoot a video, right? We're at a point now where the average guy, given enough time, practice, education, can produce something maybe not top of the line quality, but pretty fucking good.
Well, yeah, you
all
take a
things
look at
considered,
you
right?
take a look at some of these like stars that are coming out now because of a platform, TikTok.
Yeah.
You see TikTok, you see people coming out of TikTok nowadays. They made a video on their phone, and now they are making millions of dollars a year.
Nuts,
and
man.
all they need is the cell phone.
Yeah, right.
That's all they need to do it.
Yep.
And like even before then, you have look at how far technology has come, right? Like you were saying, the videos that we can produce on our phones now, 20 years ago, it's still like it just destroys the quality of what the cameras were like 20 years ago. Like the technology, and it's continuously getting better and better and better, which makes it more accessible for people that want to do these things. They aren't sure of that, because like whenever you think, when people watch my videos, they always ask me, who does these? Like what company is doing these? Like how are you getting this done? And it's just a guy from my high school who knows nothing about cameras.
Yep.
He comes over, I have a gimbal with a camera on it, and I just show him what I want. He does it, and that's it. Like
There you go.
it's so easy with that technology. You can do anything nowadays.
Yeah, I mean that's really the cool thing, is that it puts the power back, the creative power back in the creator's hands. You're not reliant on having a certain budget to be able to produce something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're not beholden to someone else to do this, right? You can, and it allows for a certain amount of trial and error that I think was kind of missing, at least in the music industry here for the last little while. Like talking about the last 20 years or so. Before that, once upon a time, the 70s, 80s, even into the 90s, there were big budgets to develop bands and artists. You'd get a multi-record deal. Like it wasn't like, you got to hit the first single or else you're done.
8 records. And,
Yeah, right. Like there'd be development deals, so
10
they
years.
would put time into it, they put money into it, and all that sort of stuff. And they would give you those resources, like you said. You couldn't just pull your
Exactly,
whip your
yeah.
phone out and here's the video. It had to be a whole crew, just the same as you couldn't just sit down at your house and record an album or do whatever. You had to go into a studio. You had to pay money. You're on the clock. Somewhere along the line, that's kind of changed, right? Like like I said, with technology and all the rest, it's given it back to the individual, right? Because the budgets, they dried up at a certain point in time, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 years ago. With the introduction of Napster and peer-to-peer sharing and what would become streaming music down the line. But there's a chunk of time there where no one could monetize streaming music. No one, they didn't have that figured out, and budgets dried up. And even still, like you don't hear of development deals anymore.
No, yeah,
with-
you never hear
with
about
artists,
that anymore.
right? It's not
Yeah.
like I can only assume, without getting any details, that the band you're dealing with, they're probably not like, okay, well, we're going to sign you to seven full length albums.
Yeah, that's
You know?
definitely not how it goes anymore.
Yeah,
That's,
we're gonna do X amount of videos and this and that, and we're gonna put this amount of dollars into you, and you have a whole team with you. That's just not a thing now, right?
Meet your pilot.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are gonna drive you around. This is how it's gonna work. It's not a thing, but now it's like we've kind of crossed that gap. Like technology has changed, where even though they're not offering that as a service or anything anymore, now you can do it.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can sit in your house, right?
Yeah.
And you can do something that is of a level of quality that would rival anything of, like you said, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean, my God.
Even today.
Well-
Even today you can rival it, because a lot of these artists are doing the same thing
They're
we're doing.
doing
They're just recording at home.
It's all
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Like the funny thing is, I started seeing your videos on Facebook like over the last it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been about a good 2 years now. I think since I
COVID,
started.
right?
Yeah,
For-
since
for
COVID,
sure,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And just as a random guy who just would happen to see it pop up in his feed, they look fucking great.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Like
Yeah, I appreciate
honestly,
that a
man.
ton.
Like,
thank you.
Yeah, like I mean, you've come into the store a whole bunch, you know, and I haven't like said anything. I think until a little while ago we started talking about.
Yeah,
it.
a couple weeks ago there. Yeah.
But man, I've seen you doing it for the last couple of years now. Like I've noticed it. Like you said, you know, you never know who's watching, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm just a guy, but I've watched, I've seen your progression on it, and it caught my eye to the level of quality that you were able to achieve just at, you know, in your house.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
know?
Yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate that. It's always
Yeah,
good to
man.
hear feedback like that as well.
Wait, Kevin and I were talking about this because you had questions about how the drums went down, and I kind
there
of
you
explained to you secondhand, but I figured you just may as well ask the man.
Yeah, so I'm a little curious of your process.
Yeah. So, are you like in terms of video or kind of everything?
All of it.
All
like,
of it.
I understand that like you probably like you're gonna have to do multiple takes because you have different angles and things like
Yeah.
that you're achieving. So yeah, I just kind of a song selection because like you do a really good job of choosing whether or not you're going to do something that you're basically paying homage to something that's in the style that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Or you're taking on tracks that are completely out of the style and you're putting it into a good kind of like translation to something far heavier, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
You've got really good feel, like it, like
Yeah.
like some drummers like they can do their thing really well, but then like other stuff, it's like man, it feels forced.
That's
But
fair
it's like
enough.
you have very good feel.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Well, yeah, so we can get into that. So, a lot of my videos, if you notice, I never really play like slow songs. They're always really high energy songs because that's the way I like to cut my videos.
The NF one was cool.
exactly. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, so I like to do stuff like that where I can do like a lot of high energy shots. I can make because here's the thing. Even though I said I'm not doing this for anybody else but myself, it's kind of a lie. I am doing it for other people to watch too, right?
course,
You know, yeah,
of
you're doing it for people.
Yeah, you always want you want to feel that energy coming
Exactly,
back to
right?
you
Yeah,
eventually.
it's a good
Yeah.
motivator to keep you going,
Yeah.
right? So I want to keep people interested in watching my videos. And here's the thing: there are so many drummers out there that
Yeah.
are fantastic and so good, way better than I am. But there are so many drummers on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook that just record off an iPhone, which is fine. Like if that's what you have, that's what you have. Or even just like a DSLR, like a one angle thing. There are so many that it's really tough to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
Which is where I think my strength of videos comes into play is like I have that really cinematic feel that even if it's not the hardest part of a song, you still have fun watching it because it's just high energy.
Stick
yeah,
flips and the
you know,
lighting
you're
looks dope
immersed
and-
into it. Right?
I would argue it's almost more of the video than the playing.
100%, and
Right?
I absolutely agree with that too. Yeah,
Video caught me, and then the drumming was like I stopped and showed Kevin, and I went, "Hold on."
I mean,
Right, but
Like, I
there's,
thought I was blown away because of the cuts and edits, and it was like, "Oh, there's a ton going on here. Like, this
Exactly.
is wild."
Because like for dudes that are doing it at a higher level, like, and I'm going to consider you in that higher level. So like, what Cobus,
yeah. Luke Holland, you know,
and
yeah,
then
those guys.
I honestly for production, dude, I'd put you right up there in
Oh,
that
thank
three.
you. I appreciate that a
Because
ton.
like it's of you're taking into consideration everything that is important in one of those videos.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're constructing the song very well. Like you're adding flair where it needs to be to a degree of difficulty that it needs to be for the consumer, which is very smart in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Because it's like you can do stuff for drummers, and that's like most people, but like.
But then only drummers care.
Exactly.
Exactly.
There's a bunch
Yes,
of
that's the thing.
there's a
Yeah.
bunch of shit that drummers care about that no one on the planet Earth cares about.
Gosh, so
And
many
it just like
things.
you can do the coolest stuff and then nobody's gonna watch it.
musicians in general, I think you can apply that.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I hear it all the time, and that's the thing, right? Like my videos, it's not a secret. They're very produced. They're
Yeah, yeah.
produced pretty much as far as I can take it. But that's because that's my style. I get a lot of people that are like, "Why don't you just do like raw iPhone videos?" Which I would like.
Sure.
Here's the
Travis
thing.
Barker does
can.
that,
Yeah,
man.
like
and
you can
Kevin
do
made a
it,
good point.
and
It's
that
like,
works out.
If
but
people
the
like
thing
it,
is-
they like
yeah,
it.
if they like it, they like it. But at the same time, that's not why I do this. Like I do
Yeah.
this because I like the video
brain
process.
Well, and like
You
you're
know?
marketing
Yeah.
you're marketing to a person that enjoys highly produced music.
Exactly.
Because like, this band's coming after you because they want to have a highly produced sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that makes sense. Because if all of a sudden you have a drummer that has the taste of a highly produced everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so visually you can see it, lighting you can see it, drumming you can see it, tonally, because like, obviously you're using the best samples to make sure that shit hits.
yeah, absolutely.
And like it's presented in a way that if I were a manager, I would be looking for.
Well, it shows
Yeah,
that you
exactly.
understand like the bigger picture and the whole package of,
Yeah.
it's entertainment, right? It's
Yeah.
the entertainment industry. Like Travis Barker can get away with doing an
Just an
iPhone,
iPhone
video.
and a snare
Yeah,
drum.
do-
No
do-
mic.
Do you know
Fantastic,
why?
yeah.
Because he's fucking Travis Barker.
That's
Exactly.
How many Blink 182 videos came out from the late 90s to the early 2000s? How many top of the line, hugely produced videos has the guy done?
But-
of course he could throw out a couple. And
But
get
his
away
production's
with
getting better.
it. Well, no,
Every video he's been putting out now is better and better.
Progressive.
No, but I'm
Right?
talking
Yeah.
about
No,
his Instagram. Like he does
That's
just like
what I'm
snare
saying.
covers.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's just
He's-
an iPhone though.
No, I know. But his newest stuff, where it's his kit in his living room,
Yeah.
no, he's fully mic'd up.
Oh, is that a
Yeah,
full?
yeah. And
Okay.
It's very like raw sounding still, I would argue, but he's like putting more effort into it.
All
which
I'm
is
saying
interesting.
is that a guy that's already like achieved what he has
Yeah.
achieved, that guy could
He
get
can't
away.
fail.
That guy could get away with a Radio Shack mic and an old handy cam, and
Yeah.
people will still watch.
Yeah,
They'd
because the
probably be
following's
into it.
there,
Because
right?
the
They got
following's
hooked
there.
already. They were hooked already.
He is a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He himself is a brand.
Oh, the checkers
Right.
and the famous stars and straps
The-
stuff, man. Like I'll
right?
never
the whole
forget
thing.
that.
Like that guy is on every new
Pop punk song
Pop-
ever.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
entire last
everything.
2 years.
Everything.
Yeah.
This is the Avril Lavigne one.
pop punk, hip hop
everything.
now too. For
Yeah,
some
Yeah,
reason,
the hip hop crossover
Yeah.
stuff. Like he's on all of it. Like he really is with all the new artists. The
Dating
whatever
a
the
Kardashian.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he's kind of on the cutting edge. He's kept himself in there. Like his brand is top notch, right? Like he's dialed that in. So yeah, that guy, he's gonna put out top quality stuff. He can put out low quality stuff.
People
It's
are there for the
it's
tour,
yeah,
right?
it's a
Yeah.
different thing for a guy starting out though. I think you know what I mean. Like if you're just getting going, you got to show. Okay, I know how to do this. I know how to.
Yeah.
I understand the game, right?
Yeah.
If you're just showing, oh, here's my talent, like you said, there's a million guys who are super talented.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
can come out. Oh, look how I can play. Look, I can do this. I can do. That's great. Do you understand that this is an entertainment
Exactly.
business? This is a show,
And that's
right?
the differentiation factor when you look at that. It's so important when you're first starting because like I said, like there's so many people out there that are trying to do the same thing, and you can see it on Instagram right now. If you go to a hashtag drums, hashtag guitar, whatever instrument it is, you're gonna get flooded with a ton of videos.
Yeah.
And even think about what you do yourself when you go and you scroll through those hashtags. You're not clicking on the videos that don't look good. You're clicking on the ones
Exactly.
that look good, right? So it's all about like you want to be able to draw people in. And another like thing that leads me into another point with my videos too is I make videos for people that aren't musicians too. You know what I mean? Like I want these to
Yeah.
be fun for people to watch that know nothing about drums, that don't
Music
know anything about
listeners.
music, right? Yeah, they just listen to music and they're like, "Oh, that looks so cool." It's all about getting like an emotion out of people. You want people to
Yes.
feel.
Yes.
You want people to feel that.
Absolutely.
So like, you can there's time and place. There's a time and place to do stuff like the raw iPhone stuff and the raw camera stuff. Time and place for it, absolutely. Especially when you've established yourself.
Yeah.
But when you're first starting out, you've got to have something that's going to set you aside from the others, or else you're going to blend in as harsh as that
another
sounds.
face in the crowd.
Exactly.
Right? You're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
another guy.
That's what I've always thought of with production. The higher the level of production, the lower the barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because like if you got low shit production, like that just means that you have a lot of things that people have to get past in order to enjoy the
Yeah.
content. So if you're trying to get them to feel, and that's the thing that you're wanting to get them to, the more care and attention that you get to how it's like sales, really. You know what I mean? Like
It
it's like you're
is
trying
sales.
to sell
It-
that
it-
thing.
everything's
the best
sales.
It's
Yeah.
not
Everything's
like
sales.
sales.
It's just
It
marketing
is
at the end of the day.
sales.
It's all
sales
marketing.
One
and
spot
marketing.
and you got to get to the next spot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's we talked about this before. It's like the barrier to entry now is not talent. It's not
Well,
the
still
ability.
talent.
Well, okay, sorry, but I guess I
He wouldn't be doing this if it was a shit
no,
drum.
I'm jumping past the people with no talent, right? I'm saying there's lots of guys with talent. Anybody can go out and record themselves for a certain amount of money. You can produce videos on your own to a certain. It's
Yeah.
how well can you market that after that? To me, is the barrier to entry into the music industry now. It's do you understand marketing? Do you understand
The business.
brand building? Like that is where it's like you really have to have that entrepreneurial mindset of I'm building a business, I'm building a brand. That just happens to be me or my band or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's what that's where I think you're going to separate the
Boys from the men.
well, yeah, whatever cliche,
So, yeah.
whatever cliche you
Whatever
want to
you need to
use.
say, yeah.
Exactly. Like that's how you're gonna separate it. There's anybody can sit down and do this stuff on their own if they put the time into it and they have enough talent. But then, can you put it out there and can you market it? Can you get eyes on it? Can you get ears on it? Can you get that out there to the greater public? And if you understand that concept, I think that is what's going to really translate to people that are in the industry, because that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the whole end game. And if you get that from the onset and they can sense that you get that, like, you know, putting out quality videos, promoting quality videos, developing yourself, developing that brand.
Yeah.
That, I think that speaks more than, oh, this guy can play the fucking drums good, because I could find a million guys who play the drums good,
Exactly.
but they might be wallflowers that, you know, they don't know how to put themselves out there. They don't know how to get eyes on them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And like that goes back to my point of saying like I make these videos for more than just musicians, because at the end of the day, like you're saying, it's about who you get your videos out to. And even though I would love to just have like a bunch of like industry musicians watching my videos and doing that, those aren't my target guys, because like they're gonna watch it and they're gonna like, they might respect it, they might not, because you know it's pretty produced. And like that's another thing too that we'll get into later, is like people that, you know, like all the hate comments with like how produced
would
my stuff
love to
is.
get into that.
Oh man, it's every day.
I still find it wild that people hate comment in general, but
Yeah,
I don't know how you
100%.
could hate on it.
Someone
to be
was
honest with
bragging
you.
in my
Exactly.
comment section. They're like, I had to tune someone straight on Instagram the other day, and I was like, I bet you did.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure you did.
It's like a sport nowadays.
But back to that, another thing to like get into, like get that stuff out to people's eyes, it's consistency. And that's one of the things I preach the most. No matter what you're doing, if you're doing just the iPhone videos or whatever you're doing, if you're making content, you need to be consistent. Because
faces.
yeah, even if, let's say the first video I ever put out looked like the videos I make now, if I only put out one, what are the odds anybody ever watched it?
Yeah, your family and your friends.
Exact
like you
family,
said, yeah,
friends,
yeah.
maybe a share here or there, maybe a couple comments. But even if you look at me, like on my Instagram, I have just over like 17,000 followers. So it's still not a ton, but like
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That is a huge
Thank you
achievement.
very
Like,
much.
cheers to that.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, man.
Dave's out of his drink.
But the thing, yeah, out of a drink. The thing is with being, if I weren't consistent from the start, you know, people scroll past your videos all the time. So back to having 17,000 followers, I still only get maybe 5,000-6,000 views per video. That's still like 9,000 people that just scrolled right past. And that's because as we are now, our attention spans are so short. Like,
Oh, yeah.
can any of you tell me the last thing you saw on your Instagram feed? Because I sure can't. Right? So like that's why you have to stay aggressive and you have to put yourself out there over and over again. Because sure, maybe somebody will see, you know, they'll see Ryan Trinh the first time on Instagram. They're like, I don't really care about this. And then the next day they see it again. They're like, oh, I see this again.
They're
You
like,
know,
I kind of remember
what's
that,
that?
right?
So, but I still don't care. So they scroll up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, come the third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, whatever it needs to be.
They say 4 to 8.
Exactly. 4 to 8, right?
is
As soon as it gets there,
the sweet spot.
you've hooked them, right? Because they watch it and they're like, that's what it's about. And then they'll get into it. They'll look, not only will they watch that video, but they're most likely going to convert and go into like your profile, check out some past stuff.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe you just like got a new top fan or something on your Instagram or
Yeah.
whatever platform you're on, just because you were consistent with it.
That's all it
Because
takes.
from the very start, if I only put one out and that person scrolled right past it, that's the end of
one
my
and done.
story
Missed
in their
them.
head,
Yeah,
right?
missed them.
That's all it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is.
Did you struggle to monetize? Like, I'll call this your gift. Did you struggle to monetize this? From a personal like avenue?
What do you mean?
It's like I have a hard time being like, I ask for money to do the thing I do as an art. But like in the same breath, it's like you kind of have to, because it has to take some kind of priority. And I justify this with Kevin by saying like people buy your calendar space, right? So it's like people will pay me so that they can book my time so I can do my thing, right? Like do you have any of that where it's like now you're making money doing your like playing drums, being the guy you are, doing the thing you're doing?
Honestly, it's never been too big of a barrier for me. I've been very, very fortunate with how everything has started. You know, like I came from a really, like my family never had any financial hardships or anything. They were always really supportive of whatever I did. Everybody around me was too. So like I was never really struggling to get equipment or anything. And I have a good job that like it pays the bills and it gives me a little bit extra too. So like when I was first starting this, sure, at the start, it was pretty daunting to, you know, look into all this new gear I had to get. But at the same time, I knew in the long run, it was the thing that was going to keep me afloat. Just struggle now, get all your stuff, and then you have it for life. Because that goes back to our point where we're saying like, I can't afford to pay somebody 3 times a week to
Yeah.
edit my videos, shoot my videos, light my videos. So I have to learn that. And now that I learn it, I'm at free will to put out videos whenever I want to. And it's so nice because I'm really on my own schedule at this point. So whenever I'm not working, I'll just, you know, set up all the lights and set up all the mics, hit record on the camera, and that's all it takes.
Doesn't it feel good too?
Yeah, it feels fantastic to be able to do whatever you want to. Because, you know, as musicians, you never know when you get that idea.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So some days, you know, I'll just be like laying downstairs and then a song will come on. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. So I go upstairs and I'll just kind of rip on it a little bit. And I was like, okay, I think I like that. Set up the lights, hit record. By the end of that night, by the end of like a couple hours, I can have that video out, you know,
Yeah.
because I've done
You
it
get
so many
excited
times.
again,
Yeah, you get
right?
excited. And
Yeah.
like being excited is such a good motivator to get you to work. Like it lights a fire
Oh, yeah.
under your ass, right? Like when you're excited about things, you can work for hours.
It creates energy. Yeah,
Exactly. You can
it's-
work for hours on
I-
end when you're motivated.
That's the thing, and I've noticed it personally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I'm getting up, if it's my day off and I've nothing else I have to do other than get up and work on a song, I can pop out of bed with like 3 hours of sleep. You know what I mean? And be fully energized, ready
Yep.
to go. Just I want to do this. I could have 10 hours of sleep and get up to go to my day job. And wake up feeling tired.
Yeah, and you just
I
don't
wanna
care,
do this.
right?
It's
You just don't-
not- you know, because it's not my passion to go do my day job. It's my passion to do the things that are my passion.
Yeah, that's
right?
true, right?
So yeah, I've been looking into the whole idea of a number of I guess psychological things, but one of them is the idea that you can create energy out of nowhere, right? And it comes from that passionate place where if you're feeling excitement, you're feeling good about what you're doing, you feel energized in a way even if you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like it
absolutely.
does something to you. Like so, your mind can affect your body in such a way that it's quite amazing, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you don't have that in your life, some people never feel it.
Yeah.
You know, some people go through their whole lives never feeling that ability to pop out of bed and just be excited about the thing they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, as someone who's been on both sides of it and felt both things now, I realize it's
One feels way better.
Yeah.
God, does one feel better?
If you just find
know?
it's like, here's the thing. I think everybody, like you're capable of feeling it. You just got to find what drives it. You know what I
your
mean?
thing.
Take
Like
a
there's
chance, you
yeah,
know,
take a
like-
chance and like take a risk doing things too. Like for me, I was with the band I'm working with. That was a really big risk for me because like I grew up in Lethbridge. I still live in Lethbridge. You know, like I haven't gone and traveled any. Like I've gone on a couple of vacations here and there, but I've never been away from home for anything other than like just leisure. So when I get that like show opportunity to go play, like my first show back after like 10 years was a sold out show in Grand Rapids, and I flew out for it, and I was like, that lit a fire under me because I was like,
Bet.
oh, I haven't done this in so long, and it just made me super excited. I was super nervous. Don't get me wrong. Like it was like really nerve wracking not playing in front of a crowd for however many years or how many. I think it was like 3,000 days or something crazy like that. But to get back in front of a crowd and stuff, as soon as I got on that stage, though, it was just like this is why I
in
did
you,
it.
back
It
right?
all
That's
paid
in
off.
you. That's the thing, yeah.
Every minute of stress. You can even talk to like. I felt so bad, and like my girlfriend's the best for this. Shout out to you, Aaliyah, because you're the best. But she put up with all of that. Like all at night, all I'm doing, we should just be having quality time, spending time together. But here I am. I just have a song playing on in the background, and I'm just tapping my feet and shaking the floor. It's really annoying, but she understands it, which is really good. And that's another point I want to make too: is make sure you surround yourself with people that
Thank you. Thank you.
that like appreciate what
Yeah.
you're doing and like not even like or support you at the least or even at the least
Don't
they
deter
don't
you.
hate. Yeah, they don't try to stop you.
There's people
They'll
that'll
drag you back.
There's people
Yeah.
that'll enable you, and there's people that'll try to keep you where they are.
100%.
And like, man, like I spent a lot of my time being around people being like, "Oh, don't try a little bit. Don't try at all. Even like, just do your little bit of work and come home and drink beer with me." It's like,
Yeah.
no, man. Like, there's more to life than
Take
that.
risks,
Yeah.
go out, go have fun. Because I heard it
Meet
before,
people,
even
like-
before I started this. A couple of people that I used to even like hang out with and considered pretty good friends. I was telling them like the what I was thinking of doing when I was first starting up, and they were not supportive. But they're like, you should probably just get a job and just move on, finish school. And here's the thing, I did it in a way because like my parents, I'm Asian parents, very, very school driven. So I didn't even bother trying to do any touring or shows until after I got my degree.
Yeah,
So
you
now
knew
that I have
better.
my degree, at least I have like that backup plan to fall back on. And I did that for my parents because they've provided me with everything up to this point in my life. Like they've done so much for me. Whereas like these guys who are just like, my parents are the one exception where they weren't really trying to deter me from doing it. It was just like they being like immigrants, they worked so hard. They just didn't want to see me take a risk and kind of throw away the opportunity that they'd given me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They didn't want to see you fall
And
back.
I totally get
Yeah.
that from like their perspective. So that's why like I waited till I was done school, and like, who knows, even if COVID didn't happen, I don't even know if I would be doing this right now, but I waited till I was done school at least to, accept like show opportunities or any tour opportunities. But that's the one exception. But like with my friends in the past that have been like, yeah, you should just get a job. It's because I just asked them, I'm like, what? Like, why don't you support? Like I'd ask them that. And it all came back to, it's just too big of a risk. And like, I just like, what happens if it doesn't work out? And what I say to that is, if it doesn't work out, I'll just do something else. I'm 24, right?
Yeah.
Like I have so much life
shit,
left
you're-
to
you're
give
a
me.
little- you're a baby
Yeah, I'm a
still.
child.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
I'm
my
a
God.
child. I'm not doing anything. Like even if I do this for like the next 10 years of my life, I'll only
Yeah,
be
you're still like
34.
34, yeah.
I'm still able to go into the workforce.
You'll still be younger than me. You do this,
Right?
you fail for 10 years straight. You're still younger than I am.
Yeah, and like the opportunities are always going to be there, and that's like right now it just makes the most sense to do this because
Do it.
nothing's
Do
holding
it.
me back at
Always,
this
man.
point. And
Fucking
like
do it.
and that's the one good thing about about my girlfriend too. She's very supportive. So like when I'm gone for like a month at a time, or if I need to be gone for a month at a time, she understands why. And like that's keeping those type of people around you. It just motivates me to do better.
Yeah.
And like when I'm motivated to do better, I'm going to do more things. That's going to branch me out to more people, right?
If you surround yourself with those people that tell you can't do anything, and
Yeah, just bring you down.
I'm a very not a new convert to it, but somewhat new. Where it's like I'm realizing there are certain people in my life that have very limited ideas of what a person can accomplish. And it has to be within certain. Like you said, get a job.
Yeah.
Just worry about the job. Don't worry about your stupid hobby.
Exactly.
Problem with that, though,
It's
is-
like, you shouldn't be doing this. It's a waste of time. But you know what? If you never take that chance and you never do anything,
You never know. You never
know. What if you
never
could
know.
have?
Yeah.
What if you could have?
You never know. And that even goes back to like just putting out content for like what it is. If you make something, here's the thing. I think you should put out things that you are like, you should hold yourself to a certain standard. But let's say like this video, it's not your favorite video and like it's still up to your standard, but you're like, I don't really care much for this. You should post it anyway because you never know how it's going to do. The video that went the most viral for me was a cover I thought sucked the most. Like I was like, I just did this, like it was a setup for a test. Like I was doing a mic test and everything. And I just set up the camera and I shot it. And then I just was short on content for the week. So I was like, you know what? I'll just edit it up. Like I didn't hate it, but it's just like, I didn't think it was my best work. It's a one angle video. It's not like cut to anything. One shot, one take. And then next thing you know, I look at my phone after a morning and it's accumulated like 100,000 views. And then then a week later, that gets me to like my 10,000 follower mark, And like, if it weren't for me putting out that video, I wouldn't be where realistically, if it weren't for that one video, I would not be where I am today. Because that one video is responsible for like 7,000 followers.
There's so many bands that say the same thing. They write us in the studio, doing an album. Oh, we need another song.
John Mayer wrote Daughters.
Yeah.
He wanted to cut it as the
Say,
biggest
look
wedding
at it
song
now.
ever.
Yeah.
Like so many tracks were like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, it's a throwaway track. We don't care. Let's just get it out there. And it's the biggest song on the album, or the biggest song of their career.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess it kind of changes your perspective on what you think, your best is, because sometimes, like you said, just put it out
Exactly.
because maybe you've got a diamond there.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't realize it.
Yeah, so I've started to
you
realize
know?
that too. So like now if I make a video, here's the thing. Now when I go to make a video, I pretty much I have a standard set in my head. So I know the song that I'm going to play is something I'd want to post anyway. So even if it maybe doesn't turn out the way I wanted it to, or like the camera wasn't set up the way I wanted it to be, those are just like such minor things to me now that I'm like, you know what? Like there's people out there that probably want to see this anyway. So I'm going to post it. If it does well, it does well. And if it doesn't, that's just a piece of content I have now. Like I have that forever now, which is always good. But going back to like the people that like surrounding yourself with positive people, those negative people now, like that were in my life, are probably some of my biggest supporters now because that I've,
Yeah, of course.
Well, you
it's
proved it.
always how it works, right?
Yeah.
You proved yourself.
And it's just like,
Exactly.
and trust me, like I keep mental note of those
Yeah.
people in my life, and like you just know,
Yeah.
like people that
I wrote
that
that
run
one
into
down.
me exactly, and they run into me, and they'll be like, "You're really excited for me," which is awesome, and I always appreciate when people are excited for me and like wish me well, but I always I know where like what your first intentions were when I was first starting this. Like I know you didn't believe in this at all.
Well, then you could play the game though of like if you didn't have close people to you giving you resistance, would you have tried as hard?
Exactly.
You know what
right?
I mean? Like that's that whole like who knows?
Spite's a hot burning flame.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
path runs itself the way that it runs
Pain,
itself. You know
pain
what I mean?
is the best motivator.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's
Sometimes
the best
is.
motivator.
You betcha.
I'm a
betcha.
firm believer that like you can't make solid change in your life unless there's something of like equal, like kind of drastic, like something shakes it up, right?
Yeah.
Like you need like some sort of a platform to leap off of, and sometimes that platform is rock bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like that's also
A lot
coming.
of times, actually.
But like that's coming from a place of like allowing that much negativity into my life. So it's like now I'm starting to understand that I can change my behaviors and I can change my patterns based on positive like earthquakes and
Yeah.
things that come up. And like, you know, like Kevin and I, we did a blurry video where the camera focus was off. And it's my most viewed video, same thing. And it's
Right.
just like
You just
I thought
never
about
knew.
the first time we shot it, the camera fucked up, the recording fucked up, the screen recording didn't work for a reaction. And then it was like, okay, I'm gonna have a quick hit and I'm gonna do this again. And we did it again and it was blurry. And it was like, fuck it, I'm putting it up.
I would have thought it would be that tuba video. That was fucking great.
Oh man, like
That was great.
We did
I laughed
I have a
I
Patreon too.
legitimately laughed my ass off when I saw you send it. I'm like, okay, what's this? Jesse and Kevin talk about. And fuck, by the end, I'm fucking busting
dude.
my gut. That was great stuff.
So I
That
took
was
a 2
fantastic.
minute clip from a half an hour Patreon video that Kevin and I did. Beyonce performing at Coachella.
Okay.
And he started talking about tubas, and then he started like replicating.
I just kind of ranted a bit.
He was just ranting.
Jesse's
and I was
just
like
laughing. He couldn't
crying
even-
after, bro. I
couldn't
couldn't keep it
breathe.
together.
It was
I was
great.
like gasping for air. I drew into the
awesome.
microphone. Oh man, it was nuts. And that alone got me like 60 Patreon subs.
Because it's authentic. You know, people like to
It's
see
nuts,
that.
man. And like
People
shout out
wanna
to all of
see
y'all.
it.
Like
Yeah.
it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, people want to see people know when people will be able
Yeah,
to tell.
yeah.
Even if
It's
you're putting
put
stuff
on.
out,
Yeah.
if you're not feeling it, people
Yeah.
will know because even though you don't think your quality's slipping, it's slipping
Yeah.
because you don't care about it.
It's like you
Right?
said, it's the emotion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like I've been trying to hammer this home on a few podcasts. We talked about this now. It's drawing people in. It's the emotion. You make someone feel something they're not feeling. You know, you
It's
give
called
them,
hot empathy.
Well, you give them something else, right? Like it's you make them feel a part of something, right? You
Yeah.
draw them in, right? It if it's a short clip, it's you're drawing on an emotion. If it's a long format thing like this, for me, it's the whole you're part of a conversation that you're not even there for. It's this whole idea of touching that sense of
Community,
yeah,
tribe.
you know, it's that kind of isolated thing that we're all feeling a little bit down there. You know, it brings you in, like you said, authenticity. This is a real thing that's happening in
Yeah.
front of me. I'm feeling it right now. It's like I'm there. I'm laughing at these guys, you know, talking about a fucking tuba.
Exactly.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
when you think about it, like if you think about content, like if you think of it like that, podcasts should not be popular because it's just it's just like 3-4 dudes sitting down talking. That's it.
And it's
But
history.
It's like an old radio
exactly.
show.
It's, but
Radio
it's
shows
the
weren't
emotion that it
popular.
brings, right? Like
Yeah.
all these little segments where we're going off and like they can like people that are watching this right now can feel that we're passionate about what we're doing because they can just they feel it. Yeah, you can feel it.
Absolutely.
Whereas like if we were just sitting here like monotone, not just saying sentences,
reading notes.
yeah, nobody's
I
gonna
have
So
some
care.
what do
talking
you
points that I'd
think
like to
of-
hit.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
We could read our Athletic Greens script
yeah,
for our
Athletic
sponsor.
Greens.
Yeah, here we
Thank
go.
you
Cheers
again,
to Athletic
Athletic
Greens.
Greens.
Greens,
In none of our cups, but
Almost
thank you, Athletic
every
Greens.
time. Almost
Every time.
podcast.
You
Come
know,
on.
so there's I'm sure there's more than this, but the two that I'm familiar with, there's two kinds of empathy. So one is soft empathy or light empathy. So it's like, hey man, like I'm going through a breakup, and I go, oh man, I went through a breakup. I know how that feels. Soft empathy, right? Hot empathy or warm empathy is when you do something and I get a physical response to it, right? So it's like for me, man, it's like when I'm like banging my head in my reaction videos and I pause it, I'm like, fuck, I cracked my neck. Like other people are like, me too. Like I was banging my head that hard too. And it's like that's what you want.
Yeah,
right?
people can relate, and there's
Yeah.
people out there that like, you know, like these people that when they watch your podcast, like they're invested in your guys' life. They care about what you're doing. So like when they see you're super excited about things, you know, they're happy with you. Like when you're crying, laughing with Kevin, you know, like people I guarantee you are at the very least chuckling. You know what I mean?
For
Like,
sure.
They're doing the same
Right.
thing you're doing, and it just draws them in further and
It's-
further.
and that's honestly like, you know, to pull this whole thing together here, the marketing, the
sales strategy
the
of it.
sales strategy, that is part of it. And I think you can make it authentic, and it doesn't have to be this contrived thing where you're trying to sell someone something. You know, you're bringing them into your life, you're bringing them into your world, and they feel like they're a part of it. And it's yeah, you get their excitement, you get their sadness when it's bad. You get those emotions, you feel a connection. Right?
Yeah.
It's all about connection. I think at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, like the whole idea of any of this, and it doesn't matter whether, I don't think if it's music or if it's movies,
Any form of art.
Anything, like it's all about that connection and feeling like you're a part of it, and you can relate to it. It draws you in. It makes you feel something, right? I think as a society we're missing that, you know, like we're missing that thing that would
Well, we're getting it in slivers. It's like these little things add up in your life to make you feel it in some amount. If you had more of it in your like physicality, I think it would be more fulfilling. But we get little slivers of that feeling from each of these little tiny interactions. Like it doesn't really hit the spot. That's probably why most people need to run these things all day. You know what I mean? Like you get people that listen to podcasts literally all day. I was one of those for a long time. Yep. And that just gives you this like little sliver of community and that genuineness and authenticity and connection that you're missing in your normal life. You get to touch
that you don't have it personally. Yeah. So it's like we were talking about this last night. Like for me, some podcasts, man, it gave me a sense of that I wasn't alone. Mm-hmm. You know, even in some of my darkest times. Yeah. You know,
you got a voice in your ear.
Which are not so long ago. Yeah, exactly. Like okay, I'm sitting here alone, but I'm part of a conversation, even if I can't interact with it. At least I'm listening to it, and
it gives you thought, right?
You know, I'm sort of a part of it, and I'm feeling kind of what they're feeling as they're doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and I think that's always been the thing with music. Music has always been that way, right? Like, really, a great song pulls you in, and you feel what the artist was trying to get across, right? And like you said, authenticity. You can tell if it's just, I'm trying to write a song for the sake of writing. I want to write a hit. I want to write a pop song. Okay, great. It is what it is. Yeah, here it is. Maybe it touches on a little bit. But there's a difference when it's like, I went through this thing, good or bad.
Yeah.
And now I'm expressing this to you in a very genuine, authentic way. And people feel it because I think we're so starved for that.
And that part of the story too, like, you know, whatever they went through, to have like your audience involved in that too, just makes it so much of a bigger impact once that whatever piece of content you end up dropping. So let's say you went through a really rough breakup or a divorce or anything, and you go and you write a song about it. If like people are involved in that, when they hear that song, they're going to feel that that whatever you were feeling at the time, whatever you're trying to get across, and it's going to be authentic because you felt that pain at the time, right? And it just drives you to do this thing, and people will pick up on that too. Especially like that, it all comes back to that sense of community, right? Yeah. You have a community with you, they're going to support you the whole way, and they're going to feel what you're feeling.
The right community.
Yeah, the right community, absolutely, the right community.
And that's the beautiful thing, I think, about where we are technologically, right? It's that, okay, let's say we're in a town like Lethbridge. There's only so many people here. Maybe you don't connect with that many of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. In times gone by, that's all you had. You couldn't reach out much further than that. It would be very difficult. If you went and traveled around, okay, great. But if you didn't have those means, the people around you are the people around you. It's not like that today, right? You can reach out further. You can reach out across the globe, internationally.
I'm helping a girl write music in England right now.
Yeah, like, listen to that. You have no idea, right? Like it's all from the power of like a smartphone.
Yeah, right.
Or a laptop. You know, you can get to anywhere. Like for example, like me getting hooked up with that band from that guy from Michigan. I just got a DM on Instagram. That's all it took. I didn't need to be at a show and he met me, and you know, like it wasn't that.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Exactly, right? Like when's the last time anybody's submitted an EPK to
oh my God, yeah.
How many people out there even know what an EPK is anymore?
I asked someone for an EPK the other day, and they asked me what it was on Patreon. They asked me.
I remember back when it wasn't an electronic press kit.
It was just a press kit.
It was a press kit.
You sent it in an
envelope. You sent an envelope with a CD and
I sent a few of those.
8x10, and I got a rejection letter from Sony.
Oh,
wow. I wish I'd have kept it. For a band I had back in the early 2000s.
That'd have been dope.
That's crazy.
Telling us that, we're not interested.
There's that, yeah.
Basically, fuck you in the nicest way possible, but just don't bother us. Like there's better
Kevin
shit
shot
out
his
there.
EPK in my dad's garage.
I did.
Really?
It's on YouTube still. Yeah,
That's
Is it?
awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
hell?
on your YouTube. How do I know that?
My YouTube? I have a YouTube?
You introduce it. You're like,
Okay.
hey, thanks for watching again. Come watch this video. I'm Kevin.
Kevin
Vermeil.
doesn't realize, but Jesse set up an OnlyFans for him.
Yeah, sweet. My feet are out there.
You know when you go to bed with the door closed and you wake up and it's just slightly open?
That's content.
Did you know
Yeah.
Kevin and I live together? Did
Oh, you
know
guys
that?
live together?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Did you know Kevin's a tattoo artist too?
I did
He's
know
seen
that.
me
I
a couple
found that
times.
out not that long ago. I think maybe like a year ago.
Somewhere
Not
in
even
there.
something like that. Yeah.
I don't know if you're into tattoos, man, but that is another world where it's like every.
I
like,
know that
as
he
long-
just got a first tattoo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
What'd you get?
Just so my buddy in the back a few years ago, like 2018, there was that Humboldt bus crash.
Yeah.
And Logan Boulet, I'm sure you've heard the name.
Yeah.
Just big hero around Lethbridge. He was one of my best friends throughout high school, and a bunch of like the guys from that friend group, we all got 27, like a variation of his number 27 tattooed
Awesome.
somewhere on
Yeah.
us. And so I just ended up getting mine. I got mine a couple of years after everybody did because at the time, back to the whole Asian parents
I was
thing.
going to say because you're Asian.
Oh,
Yeah. This is also where they're
What's so
finding
cool
out
with
if you watch this. Sorry, mom.
Shit. Sorry,
No,
man.
no, don't worry about it. Don't worry
Whoops.
about
Blew
it.
up his spot.
Okay, I've had it for what, like almost a year. You
Yeah.
didn't know. I'm still a good person, so don't worry. I'm not doing
And
drugs
you're good
or
at
anything.
hiding tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Who's gonna know? But yeah. So that's just kind of like a memorabilia thing for our
Awesome.
buddy. Yeah.
My psychologist told me that tattoos are a window to the soul.
Yeah,
Agreed.
absolutely.
It's like a good way of healing trauma, I think.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. You know what? Actually, I was going to text you today and tell you I need a bald eagle tattoo.
Cool.
So in the last week, in the last 7 days, I've seen 3 bald eagles on separate occasions, and they've
Like,
always
fucking put that on
no.
me.
You know what?
I,
No,
don't
you
know
know,
if, I don't know if he remembers, but in his leg sleeve design, there's a bald eagle.
is there?
Oh.
Yes. In flight.
I don't remember that.
That's okay.
But like no, so each
I don't
time.
remember my
so
tattoo
on my way
either,
here
so.
tonight, on my way literally tonight, I took a wrong turn, and when I finally got back on the same road, on the right road, there was a bald eagle over my head.
It's a sign.
It's a sign.
It's a
It has
sign.
to
You
be.
gotta get it
has to be,
tattooed.
right?
Put that on your
So-
chest, buddy.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
Fan 'em out.
eagles, across the chest.
Yeah.
Great
Yep.
placement.
Full spread.
honestly.
Yep.
Although he's got plans for his chest
I
already.
got plans for my chest. I got an album cover going on my chest.
Oh,
A
that'll be
different album there.
crazy. That'll be unreal.
It's not quite an album cover. I'm going to make it crazier than
Well, it's
that.
from an album cover.
Yes, it's going to be dope.
Then-
Even
Inspiration.
better. Oh,
Yeah.
when's that happening?
When we finish his leg.
Yeah.
How far along are you on the
I can
leg?
show you the leg.
Yeah, let's see it.
I'd say we're a third.
Ooh,
Yeah, here.
look at that.
Let me get this up here. So we got a fox on this side.
Got a fox.
So
Beautiful.
when we first lined this, it was the most swollen tattoo I've ever had. But every day for the next week, I saw a fox. Hey.
Yeah,
I texted. I texted Kevin every single day. I drive down 43rd from my house to Coldell where I was working, and a fox would cross the road. A fox and her kids would cross the road. Another fox would be running the ditch every single day.
Hey,
It was nuts.
Jesse, what does the fox say?
Oh, God.
It carries on with the conversation. So we got the lynx. This is where it started.
Yep.
Look at
And then
that.
the owl. And then the eyes, we actually modeled after my cat's eyes. So I held I
Oh.
literally held my phone up for Kevin to do the fucking eye tattoo. It was
That's
so
awesome.
cool. And then we got this side. Half a wolf
Nice.
coming in, but I had like a calcium growth come up in his snoot, and it was just all of a sudden there was this little lump in the tattoo.
Oh, the worst.
And I was like, I'm not willing to get it because like if it's a tumor and it cracks, and then all of a sudden I'm full of tumors.
Yeah, what's going on
however that
there?
works,
Yeah.
right?
Is that how tumors work? They're like
that
big
how it works?
eggs.
Cracks, spreads.
Oh, no.
cracks and spreads. Yeah.
not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
It was not a tumor.
It's a ferret.
But yeah, so that's my leg sleeve.
That's
we're
awesome.
working
Yeah,
on.
that looks great.
And then we're doing what's next? There's a.
Well, there's a bunch of shit. There's
Yeah,
a crane.
I'll show you the picture later.
There's a crane. There's a bunch of elephants.
That's
there's
awesome.
a
Yeah,
leopard.
definitely show me that after. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea started with Kev texted me and said, "Hey, you want a lynx tattoo?" I said, "Fuck yeah, I want a lynx tattoo."
Yep. And then it's all history.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, tattoos is another one of those worlds, man, where it's like like as a general term, you can be an artist, and with the availability of technology today, man, like you can show off how talented you are without needing someone else to like validate it for you, right?
Yeah, it's one of the weird things that we talk about a lot is like, because like I can get really good at tattooing and then do it and no one can know. You know what I mean? If I don't do a good job of getting myself out there.
Absolutely.
Like I'm at the point where like I have to do a bunch of things to make myself some sort of like celebrity
You
person.
have to build a brand,
Yes.
Kevin.
People
Just
need to
build a
trust you,
brand.
right?
Like
Yeah.
I said,
I have
all
to
these
be-
things are the same. It doesn't
most-
matter what industry now.
Yeah.
You have to build a brand.
And it's like you either do that or you don't. And if you don't, you
do that or you die.
you can only get so far. Basically, is the limitation. Whatever limitation you want to keep. Like if I wanted to just be able to do decent tattoos for the rest of my days, that's fine. I can do that. But if I build myself into a brand, I can have NFTs and own companies and
You can do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
right?
the possibilities are kind of endless, but you have to be willing to kind of put the energy into a side of it that you don't necessarily have skill in, which is a lot of a big problem for artists in general.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is technically business.
Yeah, it
It
really
is.
is. It's all it comes down to. Everything that went with social media and stuff now, if you're trying to get out there, it's all marketing.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
That's it, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. It's all about being a business. And I think that's when that's one thing you really need to separate is depending on what your goals are. Obviously, when you're doing whatever content creation it is, if you want to do it just for yourself and you just want to have fun, don't worry about, you don't need to worry about, finding the optimal amount of hashtags or whatever the thing is. But as soon as you start to think of it as a business, you can really take a step back and you can see where the flaws in your personal business are. So for me, right now, still a flaw for me is I'm really I want to get better at like talking to a camera so I can make, I can make like my relationship with my audience more personal. Because right now, sure, I'm the drummer on Instagram, but I kind of want to turn that into like I want to be Ryan.
personality.
I want to be a person because like it would feel way more like genuine, and I would love to eventually branch out to a point where like I'm doing more than just drum covers. Like I would love to, do stuff like I'm already doing some live stuff, which is great, but then also doing stuff like this, like going on different like podcasts and talking to people, or like doing like, let's say like even doing content on how I produce videos or something. Like I don't want it to be all about drums, even though like that was kind of like my push in, but now that I'm in, I'm looking to kind of get better and expand out into different.
You can
different
totally
facets.
branch out on that. I mean, just like what you've done with your videos alone. Honestly, man, I think you could put a whole channel together.
Thank you. Yeah.
Based on that, and I think you would do very well.
Thank
with
you.
it.
Okay, here's a
Honestly.
question.
Yeah. What's up?
You expensive for a videographer?
No, not really. Because I don't really that's the thing is I do videos for people, but I don't market myself as like a videographer or anything like that. So people will hit me up with projects and I'll definitely take them on, but I always ask them what their budget is. So for example, like there's a couple drummers there's a drummer from Tabor that he asked me if I could come help him do a couple videos. I was like, yeah, of course. What's your budget? Because like the last thing I ever want to do, I want more people to get into this. The last thing, like there's not enough.
You don't want to
people
scare anyone
making-
away, right?
Exactly. And like I want people to do well. Like I don't want people, like I don't want to be the only person that's doing this, especially in Lethbridge or like in this area. Like I want to bring this area up again because you look back at like 2010, 2008, the music scene here was good.
Yeah, it was.
We had shows, and when's the last time there's been a concert that rolled past Lethbridge?
I mean, it's
Never, because the music scene here is dead. So I want people to like put stuff out, and if I can help you get there, I will absolutely do that. So when these guys like ask me to do a video for them, sure, I'll work within their budget. But then again, like the other day, I got hit up to do a game soundtrack for a pretty large game. I can't disclose what game just because I signed whatever. But for them, since they have a much higher budget to work with, perfect. I can work within a higher budget. But for me, it's more about just like I want my services to be accessible. So it's going to be different case by case for everybody. So if you have a bigger budget to work with, great. We can take that budget and we can make your video even better. But if you have a small budget, I can find a way to work with that. If it's a small budget, as long as it's getting me what I need, like paying whatever I need to be paid, I can make something work because I have all of the gear too. I don't have to worry about going out and renting things. Whereas like if it's like a big company that's hitting me up, I'm going to ask for a higher budget because then I can go out and get better things to make a better video. I can go out and I can go get pyro or like a smoke machine or better
I
lighting.
got pyro if you need it.
Yeah,
You let me know.
perfect. Got this guy right here.
Okay, got pyro.
But so it's all about accessibility for me. I want everyone, like I want people to do well. So that's why.
It sounds like you're into community building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And like if you look at like and I'm sure it's like this everywhere, but I find the Lethbridge community it's been kind of tough to work around, like with people, because a lot of people they don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes. Like they don't really want to, and like money's not everything, but like in order for me to do a service for you, I need something.
Well, like
It
I
has
said, you got to
make
buy the
sense.
calendar space.
Right.
Right.
It has to make sense.
I might not pay you as a videographer, but I'll pay for your calendar space.
Exactly.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. So it's all about that. But it's like in Lethbridge here, it's been really tough because like there's a lot of people here too that, and I'm sure it's like this everywhere, but when they see someone do well, it's almost like they're rooting for you to do for something to go wrong.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
And-
it's that
and
whole
it's
they
all
want
the
to bring you
time.
down because they
Right?
see the flaws in themselves, they see the insecurities in themselves.
And it's a scarcity
And-
mindset,
yeah,
right?
it's scarcity, right? They seeing you do well, seeing anyone do well, shines a light on the fact that they are not,
Yeah.
and that highlights those insecurities,
Right. Or
within the
like
person.
if they try, or another thing is like a lot of younger musicians here, they tried, they tried to do it, but it just didn't go anywhere. But that goes back to my point about consistency. Cause I guarantee, like I can't guarantee, but like you'd have a much better shot at getting somewhere had you just been consistent rather than watching my videos and being like, why is this guy doing well?
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Take a step back. Why am I doing well? It's because I do this all the time.
Or just like
You know what I
message you
mean?
and be like, hey man, like I said, like, hey man, I sit here and admire your videos all the time, so I just had to message you. And
Yeah,
like Dave gave me
exactly.
an excuse to, right? Like
And it's great, and it's just like it's a good way to like network with people, and like the more people you know, the better, because you start to build that relationship, and then once you've built that relationship with them, that's kind of where you get the support. But from the get go, for the most part, a lot of music scenes are pretty toxic in that sense, where they don't want you to do well.
And honestly, man, that goes back like as the elder of the table. That
Whatever,
as long
split beard.
As yeah. Hey, I'm closer to 40 than anybody else here.
Don't brag that.
That shit. No, it's not a brag. It's not fucking you. Not a, yeah, good for you. Stayed alive this whole fucking time, you motherfucker. Yeah. No, it's been that way. Like I started playing shows in the late 90s, and it has been that way since then.
It's so crazy.
It's not just music though. Like the
no,
tattoo world is
it's
the same.
anything,
everywhere,
yeah.
everything.
The tattoo world is the same. It's a weird like.
Haters are there, man. They are real. They're all over the place. They don't want to see you do
So
well.
I think a lot of that has to come down to competency. So like highly competent people tend to be not within a famine mindset.
Yeah.
Like because you can then like if you come from a place of high competence, like you've done something very well at like a high skill level, you've seen then people around you that have similar skill levels. You've seen people that have different ranges of skill levels, and you can kind of appreciate everywhere on the journey, right? So that you kind of gain with like higher degree of excellence. The higher you get in that, the more you can kind of look back and go, oh, there's room for all of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're not afraid of the guy that's coming at your heels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If anything, you're seeing him come after the path
It's a level
that
of
you had.
confidence, right?
Yeah,
Self-confidence.
and you're excited for him to go through
Yeah.
the thing that like it's this like growth. Everything's
because you know
better,
who you
right?
are, you know what you're doing, and and I mean, really, that is
and better
the problem.
better begets better. You know what I mean?
It's just there's a lot of people that are not of that mindset.
Yeah.
that are like you said, rooting for you to fail.
Well,
exactly.
You know,
I think also there's this stigma with a smaller town that if you get competent, you have to leave. You know what I mean?
if you're
This-
still,
this
if you're
idea
still,
like,
if you're
oh,
still
you're so
living
good,
here,
you better leave.
Yeah, if you're still here, you can't be that good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're
And
still
like,
living in Lethbridge, you must not be anything.
and I hear it all. Like I hear that a lot too. Like I
Totally.
hear it all the time. But at the same time, it's like we are in this state of like with technology where I don't have to leave.
Yeah.
doesn't
man,
matter.
whatever. Do
It
whatever you
doesn't
want.
matter where
Yeah.
you live now.
Like guarantee you, if nobody knew us from Lethbridge, Alberta, they have no idea that
Well,
my
people
videos
might
were
even
shot
appreciate
in
you
Lethbridge,
more
Alberta.
because it's a small town.
Exactly, right? So then people find out I'm from Lethbridge, and like you get like people on Instagram or TikTok that find me, they're like, "Oh, you're from Alberta? Where from? Like Calgary, Edmonton?" I'm like, "Lethbridge." And they're like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's Lethbridge." Like it's
Yeah.
it's not about where you are; it's what you
No,
can
but
do.
you could
right?
you could reach people in Tokyo, you know, and you could reach people in
100%,
Brazil and
100%.
Germany. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? Like like I said, that the barrier of distance and proximity to big centers, you can get that now on the internet.
Yeah.
You can connect with those people. You can find those communities, those groups, those people that are out there, and if they like what you're doing, well, shit, okay, you pick up 50 people here, 50 people
Yeah.
there, 100 people there. That adds up. There's 7 billion people on the planet.
Exactly, and like
Right?
back to the mindset thing, like with people that kind of root for you to fail. I was listening to an interview. The vocalist from the band, I think Falling in Reverse, it was. He said this, and it changed my outlook on this immediately. It was he was like, okay, if you go look on like Eminem's last music video that has however many views, like Eminem is the best selling rapper out there, like
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
He still gets hate.
Absolutely.
People still comment, "You suck." Like, why aren't you like you're doing nothing with your life? And like, if he gets that,
Yeah.
it's never gonna go away.
How are
so
you not?
exactly. So
Yeah.
once you have that mindset that it's never gonna go away, it's a lot easier to deal with. Like, don't get me wrong. When I first got like my first few hate comments, it got to me. And
yeah.
right, like it gets to you
Fuck yeah,
because
it did.
you put in the work and people don't appreciate, which is like the fine because it's art is subjective. You know, people might hate it. Obviously, there are better ways about going around not liking things. You know, like leaving
just maybe
a hate
don't-
comment is super unproductive.
Maybe
To be
just
honest,
don't watch it.
and here's the thing too. Those people that leave hate comments, like earlier in my, like, I'll call this a career, they have asked me to since do work with them,
Yeah.
collab
Oh, yeah.
There you
with
go.
them.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, and I keep note of that. And I'm like, or they ask me for advice on things. And I'm like, I really want to help you.
But-
No, sorry. I say I really don't want to help you. But at the same time, I have to hold myself to a higher standard than that. I can't be the person that's
can't
really
stoop,
petty.
right?
Exactly.
Good for
you don't
you.
want to be on
Good
that
for you.
level. You don't want to be that guy because once, like, if you, let's say somebody hates you, but they have some sort of pull in this whatever industry it's in, that word gets around, you're done.
Yeah, that's
you're
it.
done, right?
Yep.
So you got to be the good guy. You have to be willing to help out those who didn't believe in you.
Well,
like,
and their existence isn't constant; it can be changing too.
Exactly,
I mean, like
right.
if they did a shit comment early on or whatever and gave you a bunch of hate, it's like that's not who they are forever.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
and like, if think about the people that left hate comments that want to work with me now, I take that as a compliment. You know,
Yeah, of
like
course.
I flipped somebody who
You won
didn't
'em
like
over,
my
man.
stuff, you
Yeah.
know, and it worked out. So it's just kind of about like taking a different mindset when you're looking into those things because it's really, really easy to read a hate comment and shut down.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well, I
really
mean,
easy.
it's, I can't remember the exact quote now, but there's an old philosophical quote about the idea of, you know, the difference between a fool, like you could be looked at as a fool on one day and a deity on the next.
Exactly.
Right? Like, just if you cross that line, like you look like, oh, what's this guy doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, this is stupid. He's not doing anything. He's not doing. All of a sudden, and then when you do cross that line and you hit that critical mass of, oh, he's doing something.
Exactly.
Oh, this is taking off. All of a sudden, it goes from he was a fool to, oh wow.
How?
well,
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is prophetic. This guy is doing something amazing.
another
you know?
saying of only a fool will mock excellence.
Well, and
Yeah.
like, you know, I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say to your
true.
point, like
Yeah,
no
I
one
like
doing
that.
more than you would ever critique you for what you're
Exactly.
doing.
Like
You know what I mean?
anybody who's ever given me like any sort of hate has come from somebody who hasn't come as far as I have. And like, and that's not to say that I've come super, like I've come far, but like I know that
You have
there's
accomplishments.
Yeah, there's
You're
so
not a
much
dick
more to
about it,
work
though.
towards. Yeah, and that's the thing too is like I always want to stay humble. Like I never want to get to the point where I feel like I am better than someone or anything like that because like that's just such a shitty mindset to have, especially like.
But this is competency.
Exactly, right?
This
like
is this
so
is you
you're not
need to
afraid,
skill
like,
at something.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't take something away from you if I tried, and that's important.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
And that's the thing. Like, if like somebody's coming up, let's say a new drummer's coming up and he's blowing up, I am happy for that guy. That's
Yeah.
awesome because at the end of the day, that guy's going to bring in more people to drummers
Yeah.
or music in
It raises
general.
the standard,
and it
right?
just brings
Yeah.
everybody up. So you know,
Yep.
like it brings
the rising tide rises all boats.
Whereas, like,
as they say.
if I were to let that get to me, you know, I start to do things for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
I start to make videos out of spite. I start
or
to do
chasing the money again.
Exactly. You start to chase
Well,
something that like,
spite is a hot burning flame,
but it has to be for the right reason. Yeah.
But because it is so hot, you can only use it for so long.
Exactly.
Because it will burn you.
Oh yeah, you'll burn
right?
out immediately. Yeah,
Exactly.
like there's no way. There's
li-
not a
a
chance. If I
little-
wasn't this
yeah.
passionate about what I was doing, there's no way I could keep up with my
Yeah.
upload schedule. There's
Yeah.
no way.
A little is good. Too much.
Exactly. You have to
destroys
find
you.
that like that state
Yeah.
too. Like for me, even though I love creating a video every day would be too much for me. Like that's just the one thing for me.
Yeah.
Whereas like you find your flow. You know, you find out what works best for you. And like for me, if it's so what I do is I'll shoot a few videos in one day, and then over the week I'll edit, and then I'll kind of put things out as I'm finishing editing things. So that way, like, and I should say this: I have a couple videos just banked already.
Of course.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that way, just in case if I can't hit that week,
Then you got one.
perfect. I have something to
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
So yeah, that's why we're doing this tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Because
Yeah.
I'm falling behind on my other stuff.
And
That's
now,
the thing,
yeah.
right?
And then you have it banked for a rainy day when you need it, or like if let's say you needed to put something out this day and you just didn't have anything. Well, now you have something in the bank, which is always good.
This will not be a rainy day video, just so you know. This is coming out next Saturday.
Perfect. Yeah, next Saturday. Sounds
Oh
good.
yeah, we got
No
the
worries.
schedule all worked out
Yeah.
already. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like bring each other up. That if I could give anything as a takeaway, or like
Exactly.
You know what though? Like if I had a day job and say like I'm just like all I can do is have a day job, and if I steer away from it, I'll lose my day job. My whole life will fall apart. If I'm one of those people, then someone else doing something that works kind of proves me wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be proved wrong because it's been working.
So
for me.
many people don't want. That's the thing, right? Like you challenge their
Belief.
view of the world, their belief of the world, the way they thought things are supposed to work. And when someone comes along and goes, "No, you can do it different, and you can just make it the way you want," they go, "What?" You know, there's this whole thing. Like, what do you mean I wasted my life?
Yeah.
Right? Like you call
Right.
that into question, right? And I think that does happen to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the
You
worst
know.
beliefs that exists in our society right now is that you have to hate your job.
Yeah.
yeah, I hate that mindset. I hate
Or that
that
you have to
mindset.
put up with
enjoy
your
what
job.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Or that you have to put up with it because like I'll be the first to admit I should have left my job long before they let me go. Like from like a mental health standpoint, there was not 1 second of that was worth it.
Yeah.
Like from the point where it was good to when it wasn't, I should have just walked away.
100%.
And today I would. You know what I mean? Because it's like I've built myself up to a point where it's like no. Y'all can't take my life away from me. I'm here because actually so like to steer this a little bit, I'm reading it's like a Harvard compilation of articles, and it's all about managing yourself. And the first article in it says that if you can manage your house, you can manage a business. But if you can manage a business, doesn't mean you can manage a house.
Exactly.
And it's so important, right? Because I'm sure, like, if you set the goal of seven videos a week, you would have to have so much downtime to recover and recoup and get your head in the game. Otherwise, you'd just be sitting there playing drums, man. Like,
Yeah, and like people will feel that, right? Like that
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
back to like people feeling that authenticity thing, right? Because you know, and like
gotta be real.
you've seen it, yeah, you see it with a couple people that have like if you look at like on YouTube, there's like family vlog channels where like families do vlogs with their family every day. And half the time, or not half the time, that's a pretty big stat, but sometimes that family ends up falling apart because it's not about being a family anymore. It's about making a video to
Yeah.
get paid. And that's when it's like, you really need to take a step back when it comes to like family. You know, like you see couples on YouTube that break up, get divorces all the time because their life is just on view for everybody. And here's the thing, at the same time, sure, that's what they signed up for. But at the same time, I think there's just like ways that you can manage that. And before you even start, or as you're going to, if you need to change it up, change it up. And if people don't appreciate that you need to upload a couple times less per week, you don't want those people in your base anyway, because they're just gonna drive you further and further down.
Yeah.
Whereas like the people that are like, we totally get it. If you guys need an extra day just yourselves, take that day. Take the extra week if you need to. You know, because at the end of the day, like you want the people that genuinely care about
Yeah,
you.
it's building that real community.
100%.
around you that
Yeah.
that likes what you do. That's why they're tuning in. So
And
Yeah.
believes in you, right?
but yeah, it's not just there for the superficial of gotta have
Yeah.
a video out every time or whatever. Like you said, those people are probably the people you don't really need.
Yeah, you have to
'cause they're not
remember-
there for the long term.
Yeah, you have to remember that like everybody who's doing this is a person at the end of the day, and like just think back and look at like what you're doing. Think about how much like if you were doing a ton of stuff, it would be quite overwhelming, and you would probably need a break if you were doing a video every day, or
Absolutely.
like even translate it to something else. Like let's say like I don't know, like let's say you work out every day, you know, and that's great if you do, but there's going to get to a point where if you're training properly, your body's just not going to let
Diminishing
you.
returns.
Exactly, you're right. It's just negative
need a rest
effects.
day.
You need to take time,
rest
no
day.
matter
Rest weeks
what it is.
sometimes.
Yeah, even a week if you need like, and who's say like for physically, sure, maybe you need a month or a year off mentally because like you know you're stuck in this really bad mental space where you're looking at yourself and you just no matter how good you or good look you looked at
The
everybody else.
dysmorphia is going
exactly
hard.
right. So sometimes it's important to take a step back and realize like it's not always like it's not always good. Like everything we're doing, it's not always great. There's always
Yeah.
going to be those times where like you need to take a step back.
Balance,
Yeah,
right?
it's all
Like,
balance.
It's all
yeah.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go too extreme with anything, and extremes are usually bad,
Yeah.
right?
In any way,
Extreme
right?
in any way, like
Drink enough water and you drown, right? Like,
Yeah.
right. Too lazy, it's too bad. Too active, and you burn yourself out.
Yeah.
give yourself a heart
It's,
attack, right?
Yeah.
it's somewhere in between, right? Like you got to find that space where it's
Exactly.
it's sustainable.
Yeah, and that's my
Where you
advice to
keep it
anybody
going.
who's doing anything like content creating or any sort of creation at all. It's going to take trial and error. Like there are going to be weeks where you are super burnt out, but there's going to be weeks where you're like, I'm just ready to go with it. Listen to that. Like listen to your
Lean into
the voice
those,
in your head and just like go with it. If you need to take time off, sure, take time off, but don't let it get to the point where it's like I'm just stopping. You know what I mean?
That's the poor prescription thing that the world gives, though, because it's like, no, just go to work every single day with a smile on your face.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
like
That's
sometimes
what
I can't,
burns
man.
people
Yeah.
out,
One day
man.
off with no
That's
smile on
what
my
burns
face
us
gives
out.
me 10 more days of a smile on my
Exactly.
face. You know what I mean? Like,
So I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
So what do you accredit your mindset to? Because you're speaking in a wisdom that is more than most 24-year-olds.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Because like we're a
For
little bit
sure.
older, as we've stated.
Yeah.
And so we learned through, like, when I was your age, I wasn't that minded.
yeah, I was
You
a
know what
douchebag when I was
I was wasted. I was
Yeah,
fucked.
I was wasted and I was a
Even
fucking
more than
It
douchebag.
took me
Okay.
a long time to learn the type of perspective that you're talking about. So I'm curious, what would you attribute to how you have your perspective currently?
100% my father, my dad,
Cool.
actually my parents in general, they have been they raised me very well. And in the sense of like, they made sure that I took like a bunch of different perspectives into mind rather than just like one, this one thing. And then also like, nobody wants to work with an asshole, right? Nobody wants to.
Yeah.
So, like practice those things. And sure, like if you are where you're at right now and you're kind of a dick or whatever, just take time and like work on it. Cause like it's something you can work on. Like
Yeah, of
realistically, you can work on it. If you're a dick, you can work on it. Just be better.
It starts with being reflective, though, right?
Exactly.
'Cause,
And like take a step back and like, so whenever I'm thinking about things, even if I'm super mad about something, take a step back and be like, okay, why am I mad about this?
Yeah.
And usually you can find a way to not make yourself as mad. Sure, you might still be mad, but like you can separate those things. So like,
Analyze the situation.
yeah, like you see it a lot too. Let's say, this is just an example. So let's say I work at the Keg at a steakhouse. If the Keg wants to sponsor this podcast,
Yes, please.
Thank you
Fire
for
away.
listening.
I got you guys
Right here.
You
But
did
yeah,
your
so
man.
I work
Sponsored
at the Keg.
by the Keg.
That'd be so sick. Just free steaks here all
Oh
the
my
time.
God.
Oh, don't get us started. Don't get Kevin and I started.
That would be
Steaks
so
and whiskey.
good.
Ooh,
I would pay.
Sounds like
I would just pay.
We're gonna all go to the Keg sometime.
Okay.
Yeah,
together.
sounds good to
rep
me,
The,
yeah.
Rep the discount for sure. But yeah. So let's just say like at work at the Keg, as a server, I make a wage. I make minimum wage, but my main wage comes from tips. Right.
We make server minimum wage,
Exactly.
which is lower than minimum
well,
wage.
actually,
Oh, no,
in
it's
Alberta,
matched now,
in
yes.
Alberta,
Yeah.
it's just all matched, so it's good in that sense.
I got
but-
out of it when they matched it, but before that, it was much lower.
Right, it was. So here's the thing: when you're looking at tips, especially like when you're at the Keg, when it's they're not like these $50 or $20 bills. You're usually paying at least $120 to whatever, depending how big your party size is. So one time, I had I think it was like a table of like 8 or something, and their bill was like $600, and they didn't leave me a cent. I got really mad, but then at the same time, you have to take a step back and think, okay, for that one tip that I didn't get, the rest of the night, everybody else tipped me so well. They helped me out. So like, why let this one negative thing
ruin
bring me
your
down?
whole evening.
And that's my biggest
Fair
thing.
enough. They're still dicks, though.
Yeah, true. So yeah, they
Fuck
probably
right
could
off.
have.
Like,
probably
eight
could have left me
people,
something.
come on.
You know what?
Like, throw
on
a
the
couple
empathy,
bucks.
on the empathy side of that, though,
Jesus.
man, it's like I've been in places where it's like I'm uncomfortable. Like there's an event and we all had to show up, and not one of us can afford to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
and, like, that's the thing,
unfortunately,
too.
That's
That's
like,
true,
that
too.
sucks,
Yeah.
right?
And like, here's the thing too.
You're
And
about
like,
to max
you
out a
hear
credit card kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you hear it all the time, like, and I see it on Facebook of like servers that get really mad when people don't get, like, when they don't tip them. And I get it, like, you are depending on the money, but at the same time, you still have your wage.
And that's finite
You
versus
still have
infinite,
it.
right?
Right, and
Like, are
like-
you working a weekend or are you working a job? Like for a period of time.
Exactly. And like, even people say like, you should tip 20% no matter what. That's bullshit. You should not. You should tip 20% if that server deserves it.
Yep.
Because like, at the end of the day, a tip is based off their service, right? Like I'm not entitled to a cent of yours unless
gratuity.
It's
It's like
gratuity,
gratis.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So it's all about like, so when I see these people like complaining about it, and I get it, it sucks. Sure, you made a shitty tip off of a table. Bounce back. It's not like you're not going to serve another table again.
Yeah.
Just bounce back.
That's not where it ends.
Yeah,
That's
because
true.
you
Oh,
you
you know
get-
what? That's
yeah.
your third
No more
table
tables.
not,
Calling
not
it.
tipping you. You're
Right,
done.
exactly.
No more
We're like,
tables,
let's
no
say-
more tips.
And then you let that influence the way you're going to work the rest of your night. You're going to be mad. Then you're going to make worse tips throughout the rest of the
Yeah,
night, and you're going to be
true,
pissed off
true,
all
true.
over again.
not worth it.
So just bury it. Just leave it. Like that's one of the things in my like life too that my parents have taught me. Just try not to be mad about things, because like being mad, you don't look at things clearly, and you might say something in the moment, you might do something in the moment that just isn't like you're gonna regret
Not
it later.
authentic.
So just take a step back and be like, hey, what? Like, why is this bothering me? And as soon as you know, perfect. You can address that. If it's an actual problem, you can address the problem. You can be like, okay, I'm mad because this table, let's say on top of them not tipping me, they were really rude to me and they did this to me. You can just address that one part. You know, you can just be mad about that rather than like, they didn't tip me, you know, I didn't make any money off of them, you know, and it sucks not making money. I get it. I've been there.
But being disrespected is different than saying someone is a dick because they didn't tip.
Exactly,
me,
right? And like you don't know, and like here's the thing: people always say like if you can't afford to tip, don't go out to eat. And here's the thing: I do kind of agree with that, but at the same time, everybody's entitled to go out.
Choose where you go, though.
Yeah, choose where you go to. Like here's the thing: everybody's entitled to go out. I never want to see somebody not go to the keg because they can't afford it. If you can come, if you want to come to the keg for a nice meal, if it's your and your wife's anniversary or it's your birthday, and you just want to have a good day, but you can't afford to tip, fine, come on in, because I'm never gonna be the guy that's gonna be like, I'm gonna make you feel bad on a day like that. Because for the most, like Valentine's Day is a perfect example of this. Valentine's Day is the day where everybody who doesn't really go out to eat, they all go out to eat, and usually to the keg.
They've been waiting.
or a nice restaurant, right?
Yeah.
They've been waiting, so they don't really understand like the typical tipping etiquette. So you just don't make as, you know, like you don't get tipped as well. But that's fine. That's their one day a year. Just let them have it.
But and if
Let
you're not
them be
distracted by
happy.
that, you can be a part of that one day a year.
Exactly.
Times 20 people. And
Right?
it's a blast.
And here's the thing.
so much fun.
You go into work with a better mentality. You serve that table well. Maybe those people that weren't going to tip you now are going to be like,
they
this
do,
person is
yeah.
unreal at
Or
their
they'll
job.
come back again.
Or
and
they'll
maybe
come
get you
back
that time.
and they'll get you another time, right?
Yeah.
So never, like I never want, like even when somebody doesn't tip me once, I'm never like, I never want to serve them again.
Yeah.
I don't care. Come on in. If I can win you. It's the same thing when it goes back to like social media hate
Yeah, they
comments.
hate comment and then work with them
I
later,
want to
yeah.
win you over. And
Yes.
I'm going to, like, that's my
Yeah.
mindset. It's like, I'm going to win you over. So
Yeah.
next time you come in, I'll make sure, like, maybe if you didn't tip me this time, maybe I'll make it up to a 5% tip, you know? And every little bit.
Well, like
it's a
that,
win.
you're describing the key factor that will make you successful, which is conscientiousness.
Yeah.
You're looking far further down the line than one
The
instance.
one transaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Infinite versus finite, right?
Yeah.
Finite, yeah.
100%. And like having that mindset too, it just makes me a lot easier to work with bands and stuff. Like I've had so many opportunities to work with like a bunch of different bands and like different companies, like my like sponsors alone, like
Shout them out, bro. Shout them out.
yeah. So my sponsors, Bradham, they're a shoe company, fantastic shoes if you're a drummer or if you just
You're
want to.
sponsored by a shoe company?
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus
they're fantastic.
Christ.
Just
They're
blew
fantastic
Jesse's
shoes.
fucking mind
Jesus.
there.
Yeah, I knew all the drum stuff made
Yeah,
sense, but
they're
shoes
fantastic.
too?
They make drum shoes.
Drummer shoes.
Yeah, they're fantastic too. They feel great. And then Minel Cymbals, they sponsor me as well. And here's
dope.
the thing. This is the thing. When I first got the email from Chris Brewer at Minel, he sent me an email asking if I'd be down to try some cymbals. And I grew up watching Luke Holland, and Luke Holland was sponsored by Minel at the time. So that's all I ever bought was Minel cymbals. And then eventually they got kind of expensive, like in my area, especially with all the import. Got kind of tough. You worked at Long McQuaid. You guys
They're
know how that works.
crazy, but they're super nice.
Exactly, and they sound fantastic. So, when they sent them to me, that was a great opportunity. But then he was like, before we even got into talking about a sponsorship, he wanted to have a call with me so we could talk. Because the last thing you want is to sign somebody on who's an
And
absolute
hate
dick,
them. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
You
like,
don't want that guy.
yeah, exactly. So we
promoting your
talked.
brand.
Yeah, we talked for like an hour and just had like it wasn't
That's
even
so
about
cool.
drums. It was just like about life, and
Yeah.
that's
the
where
hang, man.
things happen. Because like
You want to work with people you can hang out with.
Yeah.
exactly
You
because
spend most of your time with them.
Yeah.
if I were gonna be like one of the questions he asked me was, how do I respond to hate comments? I just like them. I'll like them, and then I'll be like, oh, that's like, I'm sorry you didn't like it. Thank you for watching anyway. Because I always, you want to look like the good guy, right?
Yeah, of
That's
course.
the thing. So with them, and then SJC Drums too is another one of my sponsors, and they've always been great too. I have a great relationship with them. Like we get on calls with like the CEO. Sometimes Mike, he's a great guy. You know, like we talk outside of drums too. It's all about like relationship building and like. And like, sure, it's really nice to have them as like my sponsors and everything works out. But at the same time, it's because like I got these opportunities not because like, sure, because I have some followers. Like without the following I have, I wouldn't get these sponsors. But at the same time, it's being easy to work
You're
with.
a good guy to work with.
Yeah, like you're
It
easy to
makes
work
a
with.
difference, right?
Yeah.
The
nobody
followers
wants
are
to
proof
work-
of concept.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. It's
That's
like
pr-
it's a proof of concept. This guy's got something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
that's like putting out quality videos. It's like putting out quality music. Okay, I understand the game, but I'm also a good guy to work with.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I'm a decent human
Yeah.
being.
You gotta
Well,
be
and then
flexible.
That's the next step, right? Like once you can show, yeah, okay, I understand what the game we're playing, but I'm not going to cause you problems.
No, exactly.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly.
we're going to be able to get this done, and it's not going to like ruin your fucking life to work.
Yeah,
with.
it all goes hand in hand, right?
Right.
And they've told me
So-
stories too about people in the past that they've had to, that when they've worked with them that just didn't work out because they weren't, like they were really difficult to work with. Like they instead of let's say you cracked a cymbal on tour, instead of just be like, hey, is there any chance that like I could grab another cymbal? Like I just cracked one, they would demand it, and that's when it's just like, be mindful of who you're talking to, because that guy is the guy that got you that opportunity in the first place to even be able to email about getting a cymbal after you cracked it, right? So like, be mindful of that stuff. Like, don't let it get to your head, because as soon as you do, game's over. People know.
Well, just remember, you're not. There's another fucking 50 of you out there
100%.
waiting if you're going to be that asshole that's going to cause problems.
One-
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And if you're a good guy to work with, okay, great. People want to help you if you're. Yeah.
I just find it crazy that there is a good swath of people that feel that they've earned the right to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like
They
like,
do that. They do that at the store level.
but this is again,
I
like,
dealt
yeah,
with
this
that
is in all
today,
different-
Literally.
Oh, I don't doubt
today
that.
I got my ear ripped off by somebody.
But that's where I'm just always curious about that, because like there's nothing that you can do in your life that earns you that right.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, ever.
Yeah, to treat another human like
Yep.
they're lesser than. Or
Yep.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's literally no.
Yeah. Dave and I are gonna have a smoke. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, go for it. But like, even if, let's say, Meinl, for some reason, or any of my other sponsors, I think we just got unplugged.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So even if they were,
Up top.
it was up top here.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, we're good. Okay. So
Well, you just have to plug it back in, and then you'll be good.
even if they dropped me for no reason, that's their right to.
Yeah, of course,
that's
it's their
business.
company.
Yeah, it's their company. So if they want to, great. But like, and yeah, I can hear everything. But the fact that they want to like keep in touch with me and like keep me happy and do that, perfect. It's a 2-way street, right? Like it's the sponsorship's a 2-way street. Sure, I get some gear, but then at the same time, like I'm helping promote and I'm getting their products out to people that maybe didn't know they exist, and they can get a sound demo off of my videos and stuff off it too.
Yeah.
But at any time, if they wanted to revoke that, they absolutely can.
Yeah,
and I have no say in it.
And you as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
Like,
same thing for me
if
too.
it's not working for you, you just move away from
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And it's all about like it's a respect thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So once you learn that, like, you got to respect everybody. It's like it's really tough to go wrong once you when there's respect on both sides. Everything tends to work out really well. So that's one of the things.
It's just wild to me though, like, because obviously you practice that and therefore you know it, right? It's a constant in your life. You see it, and then I'm just always curious with people that don't employ that. How do their lives work?
Yeah.
Because I find life very like trying to find people that can be on a similar mindset, basically. You know what I mean? That's like the further into life I go, the more I realize that there are people that think differently everywhere. You know what I mean? And being open to people thinking differently is a mindset in itself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my goal, I guess, now is to try and be as open and as like cognizant of others in that respect, because I feel like there's always a lot to learn from people's different perspectives. But I value that now. You know what I mean? I came like when I was younger, I had a very rigid mindset. I was like very religious, very kind of I thought was exactly right.
Okay.
And I let go of that kind of thinking a while ago. So for me now, I really, really value it, and it's cool to hear that that you have gotten that kind of like from the hop.
Yeah, it's just like I think it's like it's all going back to like just growing up with a good environment around me. You know, like I had good teachers in school. You know, like I surrounded myself with like good friends, like people that meant well, and like my parents. You know, and like just everybody in my life. Like if you were pretty much if there was negativity around you, I kind of steered away.
Yeah,
Kinda
yeah.
like
That's
those are people I just didn't really want to be around. And like there were times when like it took a couple years to notice it, and like but as soon as you do notice it, it's really important to like take a step back and reevaluate: is this friendship really and like meaningful, or like are they just bringing you down? Are they helping you at all? And like not to say that you need to benefit from every relationship you have, but at the same time, like you need to like in a relationship, it's a 2-way street again. Like that thing, like there has to be respect on both sides, and you have to like sure maybe you like. Everybody thinks differently, like you said. So people are going to have disagreements all the time. People think differently. But I think it's really cool that you can open up your mind and kind of see, oh, where's that? Like, why do they think like that?
Yeah.
And then once you have that rationale too, that can almost take away from like, if you think that guy's a dick for some reason, once you start to learn why he thinks like that, maybe you don't think he's a dick anymore. You're
Yeah.
just like, okay, I kind of understand like where he's coming from. Maybe I don't see
I wouldn't
it that
do the
way.
behavior.
Yeah.
But I can understand,
But I understand
his influence
it,
into
right?
that.
Where
And
it's
it's
coming
just-
from. It's what over why, right? Like
Yeah.
I've talked about this extensively, but like if I'm mad because like you, I don't know, you accidentally took my drumsticks home from practice, something like that. It's like I could be like, hey man, you took my drumsticks home, but it's like, hey man, like I needed those, I depended on those. That's a different conversation.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And like when people get caught up in the what, it's like it gets really sticky because it's like now like you can't. There's no winning in an argument. Even if someone comes out on top, there's no winning because
No.
one person feels either bad, one person feels defeated. So it's like if you can walk away with a mutual understanding, then it's like then we can progress. right?
Exactly. And that's so important to
It's so
think about.
powerful.
But and like that's the thing about going back to like taking a step back when you're mad and like being like, okay, why am I mad? And like that way, instead of just like going in real hot and just saying exactly whatever was on your mind when you were mad, you can take a step back and be like, oh, like I really needed, like I was depending on those sticks, instead of being like, why would you take those home? Like,
Yeah.
you're an idiot, So just take a step back
Like
and
the
realize
person
it, yeah.
might not even notice. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
you
Like
know?
all the time. Like we there's one of the bartenders at work, he takes home the keys to the bar all the time.
All the time.
And sure, we need those, but like at the same time, he just forgot. Like it's fine. Like
Yeah.
we'll get them back. But yeah, I don't know. It's all about taking that step back and just being able to realize why you're mad. And I never really thought about it like that. Like what you were saying, Kevin, with sorry, when you guys were away, we were talking about like being able to look at somebody's perspective and take a step back and kind of think why, like
Where they're
understand
why
it.
they're
Yeah,
coming from,
and
where they're coming.
I think like we were just talking about that, and like I think that's such an important part of like having good relationships, being able to do that. Like when you're,
Empathy.
let's say if you're in like a romantic relationship, like you girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever. That's not going to work if you guys don't have those talks. That's like, what? Like, why? Can we come to understanding?
Tell you that
Oh shit! What did I do? What did I do?
no, like to take like
I've been
the
down that road.
Oh shit!
to take the positive swing though. Like Kevin and I got into it yesterday, and like 10 minutes later we hugged it out and walked away. And it's
Exactly,
like,
because
like
you can
have
talk
to.
about it. Yeah, you can figure out why, and like most of the times there's an understanding. You can solve it within
Well,
like
and as dudes,
minutes.
sometimes you just gotta be violent a little. Like you just gotta let it out.
yeah,
and
you
be
just got to
cathartic.
throw a table at somebody.
Yeah, like seriously,
Well, at least the thing with guys is that like
the Fight Club
once
mentality.
once you put it out there and you get it out in the open, you can usually resolve it.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, right? Like
Because we harbor it so much, and then it becomes like it literally becomes violent.
well,
right?
sometimes you just got to put it out there, right? And it's been my experience that guys are a little better at once you put it out, you have a little aggressive whatever, and then you call it good. You
But,
know what
like,
I mean,
do-
it's the same. Like guys can get into a fist fight and then be okay after,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of a
But like, do you ever like say something, like say like you're anxious, you're stuck, you're like hyper focusing on something, you say it out loud, and it just like gets rid of it. Like,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it's
That's
just
the
like, man,
whole
I just gotta
thing.
get these thoughts out of my
Just gotta
head.
say
'Cause
it.
I'm just going nuts.
Exactly.
It's therapy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
therapy.
oh,
It's
seriously,
like
yeah.
it's like sometimes you just gotta hear it.
You just got to get it out.
Yeah,
Just
because
say it.
in your head seems to make sense, and then all of a sudden you say it out, and you're like, "Whoa, okay, maybe not that."
Right? Like how many times have like you've been in an argument with somebody and then in the heat of the moment you say something like, "Oh, that was way too
All the
far,
time.
Yeah,
way
that's
too far."
insane. Okay,
Right?
cool. Like, can we dial that back?
Exactly. Yeah.
many times
All
in
the
my
time.
life.
Yeah.
Do you ever catch yourself though? Like you ever say something and then like at the end of the sentence you're like, I didn't mean any bit of that. Like, I don't know where that came from.
100%. I try my best not to
Yup.
put myself in that situation, but definitely I have
Yes.
100%.
Shout out to my girlfriend Danielle. Thank you for sticking around for 3.5 years. I'm not perfect, and I admit it.
That's fair. And that's another thing to remember too. None of us are perfect.
Yeah.
Right? We're always gonna have those slip
Oh,
ups.
dude, back to the video thing. Like the self compassion is important because it's like if it's not perfect and I'm still gonna put it up, it's like that's a feat sometimes.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah, and like it's cool to see, like it's especially for like what we do when we're in the public eye. I think it's important for us to like show that we aren't perfect because there's a lot of like really impressionable kids nowadays that like they're growing up on social media, right? So they're seeing these really unrealistic like views of the world and like
Expectations.
yeah, just like expectations of like what you should look like or how you should act. I think it's really important for like us to show like to show things like that, like we're not completely perfect, or at least if you're gonna have like for me with my really produced content, I make it known to everybody that it's produced. I use samples. I'm doing multiple takes on everything. Like I'm never like, yeah, I'm
One
this
take,
perfect
that's
drummer.
it.
Yeah, I'm never like that because like I never want anybody to think that like that's a possibility and like them chasing that impossible goal. Now, not to say it's impossible, because I'm sure if you buy 9 cameras and you do 9 different angles at a time, you can do it.
Yeah.
But like realistically, to be accessible, again, like the accessibility thing, just be honest. Just be like, I don't need to hide the fact that I use samples in my mixes. Like I don't need to hide the fact that I'm doing multiple takes, because that's not what I'm about. I just want to get myself out there and like show that to people.
That's kind of part of like what's changed too, because it's like, you know, like how often was it like an album came out, maybe like a special release DVD came out, and you got like maybe 45 minutes of like behind the scenes and like some interviews, and it's like, oh man, I'm gonna get to know like whoever as best as I can in like 45 minutes. But it's like now, man, it's like you said, like I could post every single day what I'm doing every single day, and it's like even if like 20 years ago someone would have been a hater that it's produced, that it's replaced, whatever, you did 3 takes, it's not, maybe you hit a symbol in one video and not in the other, whatever. But it's like,
world, though.
but like, now
Different
people
world.
understand it because they know your process.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
know you're a good guy and
Yeah.
you're authentic. You're doing it for
And
yourself.
I think
Yeah, definitely.
People understand the technology a little bit more now too.
Yeah,
right?
definitely, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
there's
for
more
sure.
of a, like the magic is. I mean, there's still some magic to it, right?
No,
For
100%.
For the normies out there, but people in the no, but really though, like
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? The people that just you know, they turn on the radio, they put on a, you know, they throw on Spotify, whatever. I was gonna say put on a CD. That's not a thing anymore. But you know what I
Just
mean, right?
rewind their 8-track.
I listened to
yeah,
the failed
yeah,
CD today.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
really?
Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
it supersetted my Motley Crue when I ran out of cell service.
Oh, look at that!
In the middle of nowhere.
Motley Crue and Feo,
Yeah.
pretty much interchangeable, right? Like,
Yep, pretty
same,
well.
Same band.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey man,
Yeah.
that was a tough record.
It could have been tougher.
But you know what? Like, okay, so how long ago was that record? 10 years?
Yes.
So 10 years ago, we thought the coolest thing ever was that you guys handed a drummer something, and like a day later, he came back and played the track. I thought that
Oh,
was the
yeah.
coolest shit ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounded good, and it sounded
And
like he was a drummer in the band. But it's like nowadays, man, like I sent something, like we sent that cover to Zach, and he sent me back MIDI drums that I thought he played.
Yeah. Oh man,
It's
MIDI
nuts.
is super.
Well,
yeah.
he probably
nuts.
did. He actually probably did.
No, he
play
No,
them.
no.
he
Oh,
he
MIDI'd
just
them all out.
programmed
Yeah.
them.
Oh,
and
just
he
beat looped.
tricked me, man, because
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
I know
Yeah.
how Zach plays drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
And
what he'd do
it
is he'd
sounded
like-
like Zach playing drums.
And then he'll just go and tip tap it.
And
You know
just-
what I mean?
oh, yeah.
But like
Yes.
even like
Yeah.
bell accents and like hi hats tapping, like everything.
Yeah.
It's-
You
Ghost
can
notes
make
and shit.
yeah.
No shit. Eh? Yeah.
Real drums now, like fake drums, like MIDI drums, sound
sound so
real
good.
now. They sound so. For me, I use a blend. I
Yeah,
use
that's
I
smart.
do a live tone, and then I'll blend in my kick and my snare
Yeah, yeah,
with
of
a
course.
sample, just for that production value, right? But like, you can absolutely get away with like
Yep.
MIDIing everything.
All I
You can
did,
absolutely.
program.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
everything,
here's the thing:
yeah.
it's way more cost effective than
Yeah.
to go find a drum room, find a drummer,
Yeah.
get your
Find a
technician,
technician.
find a technician, right?
that's
get
like-
it, yeah.
For ours,
edited.
we hired a guy named Ben Phillips, who that's all he does. He does records every day,
Okay.
like just probably like 4 or 5 records a day out of Nashville, and it was like I think he was $100 a track,
Okay,
and like yeah, $100 a track. So we gave him Nashville numbers for the things, and he did like 1 listen through, and then he would do 3 takes per song. So
Okay.
he would do a tight, second tight, and a loose, and that like there you go, done. And it was like 3 days, 2 days, because ours was a little bit
13
different. We weren't. I didn't know anything about Nashville numbers or any of that shit. So I was giving him stuff via, like I was here, and I had to learn Nashville numbers to give to
Oh,
him.
I see,
It was
yeah.
a big pain in the ass.
What are national? Is that like the 1-6?
So Nashville numbers is a charting system where it basically you're dealing in roots, and there's all these little like symbols and shit that they add in to show where pushes and things are. So like he will read this chart and know exactly how the song goes because of those little indicators. But yeah, like that was the most cost effective thing that we could possibly think of, because
I
he
thought
was
that was the future when I heard that story.
Yeah,
like
right?
the fucking future.
Yeah.
This dude's house was pimped out so his drums sounded good all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. He just bought a small house and he ripped everything out of it other than a control room and his live room. And then he would have a kit set up for the tone of whatever the band was, his multiple snares and shit. And then, yeah, he was also a very talented engineer. So the raw drum tracks were really good. We kind of did a little bit to them afterwards because that's what you do.
yeah.
Make them the same all the time.
But yeah, like other than that, it was like, okay, well, we can take our drummer down. He can do kind of a good job-ish playing it over the course of a week, maybe,
Yeah.
of paying for daily studio rates, which are like, $400 or $500 a day easy with no
American.
engineer.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get a product that's shittier for like 10 times
Exactly.
the money.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those like,
I
that was the best option.
I-
And yeah,
Pro.
now you look at it. All you gotta do is just click those, and you can make them sound so real.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Oh, GarageBand, man, you can
It's
pick
ridiculous.
the complexity, loudness, softness of the fills. Like, it's nuts.
Like
man.
90% of the music you hear nowadays in whatever
it's-
industry, it's all MIDI, right? And
And like, I have no problem with that.
me either.
Like, not one ounce
We
of
talked
problem.
about this in the new Limp Bizkit album because they put out an album in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
the last time they just put
Yeah,
out.
it's
Yeah,
called
yeah,
Limp
yeah.
Bizkit Sucks.
Yeah.
And like the record band is fucking wild. But
Yeah.
for sure the drums are programmed.
Oh, yeah, the drums
and
are
it was
definitely-
probably John Otto sitting there programming the drums.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing,
It's
right?
just like it's just a way more cost-effective way of doing things. And
Oh my
like,
God, yeah.
take a step back. Look at it like a business, because at the end of the day, your band is your business. It's
Yeah.
not a band. It's a business.
Yeah.
So if you want to save on, sure, it's a cool novelty to say that I went into the studio and I tracked drums on
Yes.
this. But at the same time, is it worth it? Because I can, instead of being stuck with this one kick sound,
Yeah.
I can grab a whatever kick sound I want from whatever sound
any
library I
mic you
want,
want.
with any mic I want. And I can, with like the programming now, you can like program what the room sounds like too. So
Yeah,
like you
absolutely.
can do whatever
Where the
you
mic
need to do.
sits, like, it's
Yeah,
wild.
it's just way more flexibility, and like especially when you're sending it off to like if you're not, let's say you're not an engineer yourself and you're not mixing it yourself, and you don't have a clear vision of what you want it to sound like, it would be super tough to ship that off to somebody like a real drum set and like have them fill whatever like expectation you didn't
Yeah.
have. Like even though you didn't have an expectation, you're gonna expect people when you say live drums, they automatically think they sound better. But the reality is they don't. They're
No, they don't.
usually like if you listen to a soloed snare mic, it sounds terrible.
Oh, bro,
Terrible.
we talk about this so
Yeah.
often. Like, if you listen to a cello, I don't expect to hear a cello from an inch away. I expect to hear it from 30 feet away.
100%.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like you get a lot of like neck and bow and bridge sound,
Yeah.
which you would not get from a close mic in an F hole. Like,
One
that's
hundred
just how it
percent.
goes, right?
And it's just the way things work now, and like you can absolutely, it's accessible. You can do it that way, and you can still get a good sounding product. But for the majority of people that don't have that huge budget behind them, MIDI is the way to go because
yeah.
you can do it all from your laptop. Look at Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
her not this last. I don't know if this last album was, but the album before that like blew her up
Yep.
was it was all done in a bedroom
Yeah,
on
her
Logic.
brother.
Yeah, with her brother.
did that. Like,
And it's one of like the
Fucking huge.
best sounding albums, and it's sold so many. Right, like it's insane. Like you can, it's so accessible nowadays, and like
That's the thing. The technology has changed to the point where, you can write good songs.
Well, now it's about the
and produce
creator.
it yourself. Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
what I, that's
Yeah.
what I
You
mean.
can-
Like,
it's all about the creator. You listen to those top 40
barrier
hits.
is-
Yeah, you listen to those top 40 hits. None of them wrote that, right? Like maybe the exception here, there's some stars did, but there's always a team of writers behind it, or some
In a lot
producer
of
behind
cases,
it, right?
yeah.
Right? Like
I'll be
Especially in
honest
pop,
though,
yeah.
there's a lot. I've seen more and more cases where I get floored by the fact that there's someone exceptionally talented in behind it. Like Post Malone was a good one for me because I wrote him off immediately.
Yeah.
I was just like, whatever, this guy is just a shtick. And then I
okay.
didn't realize how talented he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fucking
Unreal.
talented. And then there's another one of those tunes that's like a TikTok tune now. Everybody's hearing it on every like reel. And then I watched, and it has nothing to do with guitar. And then all of a sudden, this dude was sitting in Norman's Rare Guitars playing a guitar, fucking wailing, like
Yeah.
wailing. And I was like, oh shit, this guy's just good. I had no idea. I thought this was just Team of Writers.
just yeah.
I thought this was like song number 5, vocal number 7. Like
Yeah.
that's what I assumed, and it was just one of those like, oh shit, man. There's
Yeah,
just
honestly, now
people-
that you bring
people
that
are
up,
good.
that's a really good point because I've never thought of it that way either.
Yeah.
Like, I've never. Well,
because it did become a produced sounding song. You know, it,
yeah,
it
exactly.
became a machine.
Because we just hear the final product.
yeah,
right? We don't
and
really
we
know
hear
what's
it
going
as
on.
we understand the thing that can happen. You know what I mean? We know that there's the Britney Spears possibility,
Mm-hmm.
but like Britney Spears possibility, that was Pino Palladino playing bass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A bad motherfucker playing
Well,
bass.
not to mention, Britney Spears still had to be an animal to do what she was doing. I will
reserve-
stick up for Britney Spears. I will stick up for Britney Spears all day
I
long.
respect all artists that are out
I do
there,
too,
right?
yeah.
And like,
I
yeah.
just-
It
in
it's a
terms of-
certain level to be able to dance around like that and do
Yes.
your thing
Oh,
and
she's
sing without
definitely
it
to
To
affecting
do that,
you.
but
It's
yeah,
nuts.
I mean, Max Martin made.
yes.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah,
might be my
there's-
age
yeah.
speaking here, but if I
never heard
hear if I hear a
Britney who?
Britney song come on at the club when I'm there, you bet I know every single
Oh,
word.
yeah.
to the song, right?
Oh, yeah.
You bet. And
Hell yeah,
I
you do.
still listen to Britney Spears for fun. You know, like why not?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
But
she's
to be
just out
fair,
there.
Britney Spears was always a performer. She's not necessarily
Yeah.
like singer
That's what I'm
songwriter.
saying.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure.
Yeah.
So listen, I don't want to put the kibosh on this too early, but we're down one memory card, about to be down two more.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
I want to say, Ryan, this
Actually,
was
we're
so
almost
much
at
fun.
2 hours.
Yeah, this was
That's
awesome.
I would
How long have
love-
we been talking for?
2 hours.
Almost
Let's
two.
do this again.
Let's
Yeah.
I feel like,
please
I
do
feel
this
like we've
again.
only
It's easy, hey?
scratched the surface of
That's always how it
what we
goes.
I
was
know
on,
we
right?
didn't even talk about the stuff we were talking about before we
It's
started.
all good. We'll get to it in another episode. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. Stay tuned.
But okay, so why I asked about the videography thing was for 2,500 subs on my YouTube, we're doing a Tiny Desk kind of concert at
Okay.
my house, and I'm wondering if you'd want to come out and just be like a director on it.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you want to bring your camera, that'd be dope.
Sure,
And
yeah.
figure out what it would cost for an afternoon. I'll figure out a date. But it's us three. Ray Bandman's playing upright bass.
Awesome, yeah.
And I think Oz is going to sing and play piano as well. We're just doing
better.
3 songs.
That sounds great.
Three
yeah.
songs.
I would love to. Like I said, like I want this to work, right? Like if I can bring my touch to this and make it look the way I think I should look, I'd absolutely.
Well, it's
Fuck yeah.
the whole the rising tide thing, right?
Yeah.
So if there's any way we can all help each other,
100%.
right? That's
Yeah.
kind of the thing, right?
Yeah.
Is the way I look at all this stuff. It's I like meeting new people that are of the same mindset. First of all, that's kind of the big thing for me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
do you have that? Are you doing it for the right reasons?
For real,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're not, well, that's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
But if you are,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, it works
then,
out.
okay,
Yeah.
everybody has different talents, everybody has different skill sets, everybody has different connections in whatever way, and I think I want to build that community of people
Absolutely.
that can help each other in different ways. Hey, I need this, I need that. Can you help me with that? Can you help? Yeah, we can skill share.
I'm down.
Right?
I'm super
So to
down.
speak,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. You guys let me know the date and we'll make it work and
Okay.
we
Yeah, right
can start
on, man.
planning it out.
Fuck
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, thank you so much for being here, Ryan.
course.
Trinh, everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you
Yes,
guys for having
thank
me.
you, sir.
Appreciate that a ton.
Anytime.
Awesome. We'll be on again soon though.
Oh yeah, you'll be on again.
Beauty.
This is a good one.
Perfect.
No, thank you so much.
That was a good chat, guys. Yeah, absolutely.